My beloved child, pause right here. Don't rush past this moment. Don't tell yourself you'll come back later when life feels quieter or when your heart feels steadier. This exact moment has weight on it. This second was not overlooked. You did not wander here by accident. I know it may feel ordinary on the surface, like just another voice, another message, another passing sound in your day. But I tell you gently and firmly, I am meeting you here, right now, as you are, not as who you think you should be. I see how tired you are. I see the way your thoughts scatter when you try to be still. I see the questions you keep buried because you're afraid of what they might mean. You've been carrying more than you let anyone know, holding yourself together when you feel like you're coming apart inside. And somewhere along the way, you started believing that you have to fix yourself before coming close to me. That you need to be stronger, cleaner, calmer, more faithful, more certain. That belief did not come from me. I am not waiting for you to become flawless. I am not standing at a distance, arms crossed, measuring your progress. I am closer than your next breath, closer than the thoughts racing through your mind right now, closer than the ache you can't explain. You don't have to climb your way to me. I already came to you, into your mess, into your confusion, into the places you try to hide because you think they disqualify you. They don't. You wonder sometimes why you don't feel me the way you used to, or why you don't hear me the way you expected. You've been looking for thunder when I've been speaking in stillness. You've been waiting for something dramatic while I've been whispering through the ordinary, through your routines, through the pauses between your thoughts, through the strength you didn't think you had to get up one more day, through the quiet moment of peace that didn't make sense after hours of anxiety. That was me. I have been there all along. My child, you do not shock me with your weakness. Your failures do not surprise me. Your emotions do not push me away. I know your frame. I remember your dust. I see the parts of you that feel fragile and exposed, and I do not turn away. I draw closer. When you feel broken, that is not a wall between us. It is a bridge. When you are honest, even when your honesty is messy, that is where we meet. You've learned a lie that says you must perform to be loved, that you must pray the right way, feel the right things, say the right words. But I am not listening for perfection. I am listening for truth. Even your silence reaches me. Even your sighs are heard. Even when all you can say is, I don't know. I understand. I do not ask you to impress me. I ask you to be present. You have felt restless lately, unsettled. Things that once satisfied you feel empty now. Habits you ran to no longer fill the space they used to. This is not punishment. This is not failure. This is awakening. I am making room in you. I am gently pruning what can no longer carry what I am preparing to place in your hands. Pruning feels like loss. It feels like confusion. It feels like something is being taken away. But I am not tearing you down. I am shaping you with care. Do not be afraid of how deeply you feel right now. Do not confuse sensitivity with weakness. You are not falling apart. You are becoming aware. I am stretching your spirit to hold what is coming. You are learning to live without the mask, without the performance, without pretending that everything is fine when it isn't. And yes, that can feel uncomfortable. Light always feels exposing before it feels freeing. But I reveal what is false not to shame you, but to release you. I am not waiting for your best day. I am meeting you on your honest one. In your messy kitchen, in your car, at the red light, on the floor of your bedroom when you thought you were alone. In the moment, you almost gave up, but whispered, my name one more time. That whisper was enough. You don't have to chase me. You don't have to earn me. You only have to receive me. Stay here with me. Don't scroll away from this stirring in your heart. Something sacred has begun, and this is only the beginning. If you felt seen, if something softened inside you, if you sensed my nearness even slightly, respond in a simple act of faith. Like this video. Type "God, I'm here" in the comments. Let that be your yes. And stay close. We are just getting started. My beloved child, stay with me a little longer. I know how easy it is for your mind to wander, for the noise of everything else to try to pull you away. But I am still here, and I am still speaking, not because you've earned it, not because you've done everything right, but because I love you, and love does not rush away when things get uncomfortable. You have been wondering if you matter, not out loud, not in words you'd want anyone else to hear, but in the quiet places of your heart. You've asked yourself if your life is significant, if your prayers make any difference, if your small efforts are seen. Let me answer you clearly. I see you. I have always seen you. Every unseen choice, every time you kept going when no one clapped, every time you showed kindness while carrying your own pain. Nothing you have offered in sincerity has been wasted. You think sometimes that I only move in big moments, in breakthroughs that shake the ground. But I move just as powerfully in the unseen, in endurance, in waiting, in becoming. There are seasons where I build quietly, where roots grow deep before anything breaks the surface. If everything appeared all at once, it would overwhelm you. So I work patiently, lovingly, layer by layer. Even when you don't feel progress, I am still shaping you. I know you felt alone in ways that are hard to explain, surrounded by people yet unseen, loved yet misunderstood, strong on the outside, while something inside feels fragile. My child, you have never carried that weight by yourself. I was with you in the moments you didn't think anyone noticed, when you lay awake replaying conversations, when tears came without warning, when you asked me questions and didn't hear an immediate answer. Silence is not absence. Waiting is not rejection. Sometimes I am doing more than you can see. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not failing because your path looks different from others. I did not design you to move at their pace or carry their calling. I designed you with intention. Your timing is not broken. Your process is not a mistake. What feels slow to you is often depth being formed. What feels hidden is often protection. And my child, let me say this gently and clearly. If this space, this message, this place of gathering has helped you feel less alone, if it has reminded you that you are seen and loved, and if you feel led to support this work through super thanks, know this. It is not obligation. It is not pressure. It is simply a seed of gratitude. A way of saying yes to what is nourishing your spirit. Give only if your heart is at peace in doing so. I delight in willingness, not force. Your presence matters more than any offering. Do not minimize the tenderness you're feeling right now. I am near to the brokenhearted. I draw close to the weary. I do not rush you through healing. I walk with you through it. You don't need to harden yourself to survive. You don't need to shut down what you feel. I am teaching you how to be strong without becoming closed, how to be gentle without becoming afraid. You are learning to trust me beyond outcomes, beyond answers, beyond understanding. That kind of trust is formed in the quiet places, not the loud ones. And I am proud of you for staying, for listening, for opening your heart even when it feels vulnerable to do so. Remain here. Let my words settle. Let my peace rest on you. This journey is unfolding exactly as it should. If you feel my presence, if your heart feels steadier than before, respond in a simple way, like this video. Write "God, I trust you" in the comments, and stay close. There is more ahead, and you are not walking it alone. My beloved child, breathe. Let your shoulders relax for a moment. You've been holding yourself tighter than you realize. Holding expectations, holding fears, holding questions you don't know how to answer yet. I see the tension in you, even when you smile through it. I am not asking you to carry everything at once. I am asking you to trust me with what feels heavy right now. You have been trying to understand what I am doing, trying to make sense of the season you are in. You look around and wonder why it feels harder than it should, why clarity hasn't come the way you hoped, why answers seem delayed. But hear me carefully. I am not absent in the waiting. I am not distant in the uncertainty. Some of my deepest work happens in places where you don't yet have language for what you're becoming. You've been measuring yourself against timelines that were never meant for you, watching others move ahead, wondering if you missed something, questioning whether you heard me wrong. My child, you did not misunderstand me. You are not behind. I am not rushing you, because I care more about who you are becoming than how fast you arrive. What I am forming in you requires patience, depth, and honesty. Rushing would only fracture what I am building. I know you feel stretched, emotionally sensitive, more aware than before. Things that once rolled off you now touch you deeply. Do not fear this. This is not weakness. This is awareness. I am softening what has been hardened by survival. I am teaching you how to feel without drowning, how to care without losing yourself, how to stay open without being destroyed by disappointment. This tenderness is not a flaw. It is preparation. You've learned to distract yourself when things get uncomfortable, to stay busy, to keep moving, to avoid the quiet because the quiet brings questions. But I am inviting you into stillness, not to overwhelm you, but to meet you. In the pause, in the breath you didn't realize you were holding, in the moment you stop performing and simply let yourself be seen. That is where my presence rests most clearly. You do not have to bring me polished prayers. You do not need perfect words. You don't need to sound strong when you feel weak. Bring me the unfinished thoughts. Bring me the frustration. Bring me the anger you feel but don't know how to explain. I am not offended by your honesty. I am moved by it. When you come to me as you truly are, intimacy begins. You may think you are losing parts of yourself, but you are not. You are shedding what you no longer need. Old patterns, old ways of coping, old identities that kept you safe, but also kept you small. When familiar things fall away, it can feel like loss. But I am not emptying you without intention. I am creating space. Space for peace that doesn't depend on circumstances. Space for confidence rooted in truth, not approval. Space for a deeper awareness of my nearness. I am closer than you think, in the middle of your ordinary moments, in your daily routines, in the quiet tasks no one sees. Holiness is not reserved for special places or perfect moods. I dwell with you in real life, in the grocery store aisle, in the car ride, in the late night thoughts, in the mornings when getting out of bed feels like an act of courage. I am there, steady, faithful, present. Do not rush this process. Do not judge yourself for needing time. Growth is not always loud. Healing is not always obvious. Sometimes progress looks like staying when you used to run, feeling when you used to numb, trusting when you used to control. I am pleased with you for choosing presence over performance, honesty over hiding. Stay with me. Let these words sink beneath the surface. You are safe here. You are held here. And there is still more unfolding than you can see. If you feel my peace settling over you, if something inside you feels steadier, respond in a simple way. Like this video. Write, "I'm listening," in the comments, and remain close. We are walking this together, my beloved child. I know how much effort it has taken just to keep going. You don't always say it out loud, but there are days when continuing feels like an act of faith, all by itself. You've wondered if anyone truly understands the weight you carry, if anyone sees the quiet courage it takes for you to show up again after disappointment. I see it. Every step, every silent decision not to give up. Nothing about your perseverance has gone unnoticed. You have been learning to live without certainty, and that has been uncomfortable for you. You like clarity. You like to know where you're going, how things will turn out, what comes next. But trust is being formed in you right now, Not the kind that depends on answers, but the kind that rests even when questions remain. This kind of trust cannot be rushed. It grows slowly, deeply, like roots pushing into soil where no one can see them. And those roots are what will hold you steady when storms come. You felt moments of doubt and wondered if that means your faith is weak. Hear me clearly. Doubt does not mean I am disappointed in you. Doubt often means you are thinking honestly, wrestling deeply, refusing to settle for shallow answers. I am not afraid of your questions. I am not threatened by your uncertainty. Bring it all to me. Faith is not pretending you never struggle. Faith is choosing to stay in relationship even when you don't understand. You have been tempted to compare your journey to others, to assume that because their lives look smoother, they must be doing something right that you are not. But you cannot measure your path by someone else's highlight moments. You do not see their hidden battles, just as they do not see yours. I have tailored your journey with intention. The challenges you face are not evidence of failure. They are part of the shaping. What I am building in you requires depth, empathy, and resilience that can only be formed this way. You are learning to let go of control, and that feels like loss at first. Control once made you feel safe. Predictability felt like protection. But I am teaching you that surrender is not danger. It is rest. When you loosen your grip, you are not falling. You are being held. When you stop forcing outcomes, you make room for peace that does not depend on how things turn out. I know there are moments when your emotions feel overwhelming, when everything seems to hit you at once. You wonder why you feel so deeply, why you can't just brush things off like you used to. My child, I am expanding your capacity. I am enlarging your heart so you can love more fully, see more clearly, carry compassion without losing yourself. This sensitivity is not meant to drown you. It is meant to prepare you. Do not run from the quiet invitations I place before you. The pauses, the nudges, the moments where you sense me asking you to slow down, to reflect, to listen. I speak often in those spaces, not because I am distant, but because closeness requires stillness. When you stop striving, you begin to notice how present I have always been. You are not required to have everything figured out to walk with me. You are only asked to be willing. Willing to stay open. Willing to trust step by step. Willing to bring me your honest self instead of the version you think you should be. I delight in your willingness more than your certainty. Remain here with me. Let these truths settle into you. You are not alone in this process. You are not misunderstood by me. You are being guided with care, even when the path feels unclear. If you sense my nearness, if your heart feels quieter than before, respond in a simple way. Like this video. Write, "I trust the process" in the comments. And stay close. There is still more I want to show you. My beloved child, I want you to hear me clearly now, not through fear, not through pressure, but through love that is steady and unshaken. You have been questioning yourself more than you realize, replaying conversations, revisiting choices, wondering if you missed something, said the wrong thing, waited too long, moved too slowly. And while reflection can be wise, self-accusation has been quietly wearing you down. That voice that constantly tells you that you should be further along, stronger by now, better by now. That voice is not mine. I am not disappointed in you. I am not frustrated with your pace. I am not watching you with impatience. I am walking with you, step by step, moment by moment. When you stumble, I do not pull away. When you hesitate, I do not abandon you. I adjust my pace to yours, because relationship matters more to me than speed. You have survived things you never thought you would. Moments that forced you to grow up too quickly. Seasons where you had to be strong before you were ready. And while you've learned resilience, you also learned to hide parts of your heart just to keep functioning. I see that. And now, gently, lovingly, I am inviting you to lower your guard. Not all at once, not unsafely, but intentionally. because healing cannot fully happen where everything is locked away. You don't need to punish yourself for feeling tired. Rest is not laziness. Rest is trust. When you pause, you are not falling behind. You are acknowledging your limits, and I honor that. I designed you with boundaries, with rhythms, with a need for renewal. When you listen to those needs instead of ignoring them, you are not being weak. You are being wise. I know you worry about the future, about provision, about purpose, about whether things will work out. And while you may not see the full picture yet, I am already present in what's ahead. I am not just with you in this moment. I am waiting for you in the next one. Nothing you will face will catch me unprepared. Nothing that concerns you is insignificant to me. You are learning that faith is not about having control. It is about having confidence in my character. Confidence that I am good even when circumstances are unclear. Confidence that I am faithful even when outcomes are delayed. Confidence that I will not leave you halfway through the story. What I begin, I complete. Let go of the idea that you must earn my closeness. You already have it. Let go of the pressure to prove your worth. You already carry it. You are loved without condition, guided with intention, and held with care even on the days you feel uncertain. As this first stretch of our journey comes to a pause, I want you to reflect, not with judgment, but with gratitude. You stayed. You listened. You allowed your heart to remain open. That matters more than you know. If these words have met you where you are, if you feel steadier, if you sense my presence with you, respond in a simple act of faith. Like this video, write "God, I'm staying" in the comments. And don't go far. This conversation is only beginning, and there is more I want to reveal to you as we continue. My beloved child, come closer. Not because you've done something right, but because you're willing to listen. There is a difference. Many try to approach me through effort, through striving, through becoming someone they think I will approve of. But you are learning something deeper now. You are learning how to come to me as you are, without armor, without explanation, without rehearsed words. That kind of closeness changes everything. I know you've been sensing a shift, something subtle but undeniable, a quiet awareness that you cannot return to who you used to be, even if you tried. Old ways of thinking feel heavy now. Old patterns don't satisfy like they once did. This is not because you are losing yourself. It is because you are outgrowing what no longer fits who you are becoming. Growth often feels like discomfort before it feels like freedom. You've wondered why I've been leading you into quieter spaces, pulling you away from constant noise and distraction. It's not to isolate you. It's to help you hear. Noise numbs. Stillness reveals. And in the quiet, things rise to the surface that you've kept buried under busyness and responsibility. Emotions you didn't have time to feel. Truths you avoided because survival required you to keep moving. I am not exposing these things to overwhelm you. I am bringing them into the light so they can finally heal. You don't need to be afraid of what surfaces when you slow down. I am with you in it. I will not leave you alone with your memories, your grief, your unanswered questions. When tears come unexpectedly, when your chest feels tight and you don't know why, that is not weakness. That is release. That is the beginning of restoration. You are safe to feel here. You've spent much of your life being what others needed you to be. Strong, reliable, the one who holds things together. And while that strength carried you far, it also taught you to ignore your own needs. But I am teaching you now how to live from the inside out, not the outside in. How to listen to your soul instead of silencing it. How to respond instead of react. How to rest without guilt. My child, I am not asking you to figure everything out. I am asking you to stay present, to take the next step, not the whole staircase. You don't need clarity for the next year. You need trust for today. I give you grace in portions, light for the path just ahead, not the entire journey at once. This keeps your heart dependent, not overwhelmed. You may feel more aware of spiritual things lately, more sensitive to truth, more disturbed by what feels false or shallow. This is not because you are becoming judgmental. It is because discernment is growing in you. You are learning to recognize what brings life and what quietly drains it. Pay attention to that. I am guiding you through it. I know you fear making the wrong choice sometimes. You hesitate because you don't want to miss my will. Hear me clearly. I am not hiding my guidance from you. I am not waiting for you to fail. When your heart is turned toward me, I am able to lead you even through imperfect steps. I redeem detours. I use delays. I work within your humanity, not outside of it. Let yourself settle into this truth. You are not alone in this season of becoming. I am not rushing you. I am not disappointed. I am deeply involved, even when you don't see it yet. Stay here. Let this take root. We are entering a deeper part of the journey now, and you are ready, even if you don't feel like it yet. My beloved child, there are things I am teaching you now that could not have been learned earlier, not because you were incapable, but because you were not yet ready to hold them without breaking. Timing matters. Growth requires preparation, and what you are receiving in this season is meant to last, not to impress, not to fade, not to collapse under pressure. You've noticed how certain conversations affect you differently now, how some environments drain you while others quietly restore you. This is not coincidence. Your spirit is learning discernment. I am tuning your heart to recognize what aligns with truth and what pulls you away from it. This awareness may feel uncomfortable at first because it asks you to make choices that honor your soul, not just your habits. But this is how freedom begins. You have been brave in ways you don't give yourself credit for. Not loud bravery, quiet bravery. The kind that chooses honesty over avoidance. The kind that sits with discomfort instead of numbing it. The kind that stays when running would feel easier. I see that courage. I am strengthening it in you, even when you feel uncertain. There are moments when old fears try to resurface. Familiar thoughts that whisper you are not enough, that you will always struggle, that change is temporary. These thoughts are not truth. They are echoes of seasons you survived. Do not let them define where you are going. I am doing a new thing in you, not built on fear, but on trust. Not on self-protection, but on relationship. You are learning how to listen differently, not just with your mind, but with your spirit. Guidance does not always come as instructions. Sometimes it comes as peace. Sometimes as restraint. Sometimes as a gentle discomfort that nudges you away from what no longer fits. Pay attention to these movements. I am guiding you more than you realize. You don't need to explain your journey to everyone. Not everyone is meant to understand this season of your life. Some will try to label it, some will misunderstand it. Some will want you to return to who you were because that version was familiar to them. But you are not responsible for maintaining comfort at the expense of truth. Growth often requires quiet separation, not from people, but from expectations that no longer align with who you are becoming. I know you still have moments of doubt, moments where you wish things were clearer, easier, more predictable. That does not disqualify you. It humanizes you. Faith is not the absence of uncertainty. It is the decision to trust me within it. And every time you choose trust, even briefly, something deepens inside you. Let go of the pressure to be impressive. I am not shaping you to perform. I am shaping you to be present, to live anchored, aware, honest, and whole. The work happening now is internal, but its fruit will become visible in time. You will look back and recognize how quietly, how patiently I was leading you all along. Stay attentive. Stay open. Stay gentle with yourself. You are not wandering. You are being guided step by step into something real and lasting. you were and who you are becoming, and that space feels unfamiliar, not comfortable enough to stay the same, not clear enough to fully move forward. That in-between place can feel lonely. But I want you to know something important. I do some of my most intentional work right there. In my beloved child, I know there are moments when you feel like you are standing between the middle, where you cannot rely on old patterns, and you have not yet mastered the new. You have been shedding identities that once kept you safe, roles you stepped into early, versions of yourself that learned how to survive, how to adapt, how to please, how to endure. Those versions were not wrong. They carried you through seasons you needed to survive. But they are no longer meant to define you, and letting them go can feel like grief, even when growth is happening. Allow yourself to grieve what you are releasing without shame. Grief does not mean you are moving backward. It means you are honoring the journey. I know you sometimes miss the simplicity of before, when things felt clearer or lighter. But simplicity without truth eventually becomes confinement. I am leading you into depth, not to burden you, but to anchor you. A shallow foundation cannot hold what I am preparing to entrust to you. Depth gives stability. Depth gives discernment. Depth allows you to stand when circumstances shift. You've been noticing how your tolerance for what once drained you has changed. Certain conversations feel heavy now. Certain compromises no longer sit well in your spirit. This is not you becoming difficult. This is you becoming aligned. When your inner world begins to heal, your spirit resists returning to places that once wounded it. Honor that awareness. It is part of your protection. You do not need to rush clarity. You do not need to force decisions just to escape discomfort. I am not anxious about your future. I am not pacing, waiting for you to figure everything out. I am present, steady, guiding you at a pace that keeps your heart intact. When you slow down enough to listen, you will notice I have already been giving you what you need for each step. You may feel more emotionally exposed than before, like everything touches you more deeply. That is because you are no longer numbing yourself just to get through the day. You are awake. And awakening always feels vulnerable before it feels empowering. Do not harden yourself again out of fear. What you are feeling is not dangerous. It is honest. I am teaching you how to hold boundaries without building walls. How to love without losing yourself. How to remain open without absorbing everything around you. This balance takes time. Be patient with yourself as you learn. I am patient with you. You are not failing because you don't have everything mapped out. You are learning how to walk by trust instead of control. Control gave you the illusion of safety, but trust gives you peace. And peace is not something you force. It is something you receive as you rest in my presence. Remain attentive to the small nudges, the quiet invitations, the moments of peace that don't make logical sense. Those are not random. They are how I guide you when the path ahead cannot yet be seen clearly. Stay here. Let this season unfold without rushing it. You are not lost. You are being gently, intentionally led. My beloved child, I know how deeply you feel things now. You notice what others overlook. You sense shifts in rooms, in conversations, in hearts, and sometimes you wonder if this sensitivity is a burden, if it would be easier to be less aware, less affected, less moved. But I want you to understand this clearly. I am not increasing your sensitivity to weaken you. I am refining it so you can discern truth without becoming hardened. There was a time when you had to numb yourself just to survive. You learned how to push feelings aside, how to keep going without stopping to process what hurt. That strength carried you through difficult seasons, and I honor that. But survival is not the same as wholeness. And now that you are safe enough to feel, I am inviting you to heal what was once buried. This is not regression. This is restoration. You have been learning how to sit with yourself without distraction, and that has been uncomfortable. Silence reveals what noise hides. It brings unresolved emotions to the surface. It reminds you of things you thought you had moved past. But hear me. I am not reopening wounds to harm you. I am bringing them into the light so they can finally close. Healing requires honesty, and honesty requires space. You may notice that your patience is being tested lately. Delays feel heavier. Waiting feels longer, and you wonder why I do not move faster, why I do not resolve things immediately. But waiting is not wasted time. Waiting teaches you how to trust me beyond outcomes. It teaches you how to lean on my presence instead of your plans. What you are learning now will sustain you later, when life demands endurance rather than excitement. I know you sometimes fear that if you stop striving, everything will fall apart. That if you loosen your grip, you will lose control. But control has been exhausting you. I am inviting you into rest that does not depend on circumstances. Rest that comes from knowing you are held, guided, and cared for, even when you are not managing every detail. You are not meant to carry the weight of tomorrow today. Grace is given daily, not all at once. When you try to live too far ahead, anxiety grows. When you return to this moment, peace becomes accessible again. Stay here. Stay present. I am with you now, and that is enough. You have questioned whether you are strong enough for what lies ahead. Let me answer that for you. You are not strong on your own, and you were never meant to be. My strength is made evident in your dependence, not in your self-sufficiency. When you admit your need, you create space for my power to work through you. Do not rush this process. Do not judge yourself for moving slowly. Deep roots take time to grow, but they hold firm when storms come. What I am forming in you now is meant to last, not to impress, not to fade when pressure increases. My beloved child, I want you to slow down with me now. Not because you are falling behind, but because your soul has been running farther ahead than your spirit can sustain. You have been living in anticipation, in concern, in preparation for what might happen next, and it has quietly pulled you out of the present moment where I am always waiting for you. Come back here, to this breath, to this second, to the truth that you are not alone, not unsupported, not abandoned in the middle of becoming. You have been carrying expectations that were never placed on you by me. Expectations to always be strong, to always know the answer, to always handle things with grace and maturity. Somewhere along the way you learned that rest must be earned, that weakness must be hidden, that asking for help is a failure. But my child, that way of living has been draining you. It has taught you to survive, but it has not taught you how to be at peace. I am not calling you to exhaustion. I am calling you to intimacy. You are allowed to pause without losing momentum. You are allowed to breathe without falling apart. You are allowed to admit that some days feel heavier than others. This does not disqualify you. It humanizes you. And I do not love you less in your humanity. I meet you there. I dwell there. I work there. I know you are afraid of wasting time, afraid of making the wrong move, afraid that if you stop pushing, everything will slip through your fingers. But hear me clearly. What is truly meant for you cannot be lost by resting in my presence. You are not holding your life together by force. You are being sustained by grace, and grace does not disappear when you slow down. It becomes more visible. You have been learning that I do not lead through fear. I do not rush you with anxiety. I do not motivate you with shame. When you feel pressure that makes you panic, when you feel urgency that strips you of peace, that is not my voice. My guidance brings clarity without violence to your spirit. Even when the path is challenging, my presence remains steady. There are things unfolding behind the scenes that you cannot see yet. Connections forming, doors aligning, understanding growing quietly beneath the surface. Just because you cannot see movement does not mean nothing is happening. Some of my greatest work is invisible at first. Seeds do not announce themselves while they are growing underground, but growth is still taking place. You have asked me why certain prayers seem unanswered, why some things you hoped for have been delayed, why some doors closed even when you were sure they were right. And while I do not always explain my ways immediately, I want you to know this. I am not withholding from you. I am protecting you. I see what you cannot see. I know the weight of what you are asking for, and I am shaping you so that when the time comes, it will not crush you. You are becoming more discerning, more aware, more intentional. And with that comes a quieter life. Fewer distractions, fewer surface-level attachments, more depth, more intention. This may feel lonely at times, but it is not isolation, it is refinement. I am teaching you how to live anchored instead of scattered, rooted instead of reactive. I know you sometimes feel misunderstood, like the version of you that is emerging no longer fits the expectations people have placed on you. That can be painful, but remember this: you were never created to live as a reflection of others' comfort. You were created to live in alignment with truth, and alignment sometimes requires separation from what once felt familiar. You do not need to rush into explaining yourself. You do not need to defend every choice. Let your life speak in time. Let your peace be the evidence. Let your consistency reveal what words cannot yet express. I will vindicate what is true. You do not need to fight to be understood. My child, you are learning how to trust me, not just with outcomes, but with process. Not just with destinations, but with delays. This kind of trust is deep. It is mature. It is resilient, and it will carry you through seasons where certainty is unavailable. But my presence is constant. I want you to know this clearly before we continue further. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are not missing me. You are walking with me, even when it doesn't feel dramatic, even when it feels quiet, even when progress feels slow. I am with you in the ordinary. I am with you in the waiting. I am with you in the becoming. As we pause at this point in the journey, I invite you to respond, not out of obligation, but out of awareness. If you have felt my nearness through these words, if something inside you feels steadier, if you recognize that you are not walking alone, acknowledge it, like this video. Write, "God, I'm still here," in the comments. Let that be your quiet yes, and stay close. We are moving deeper from here, and what lies ahead will require the honesty, the trust, and the openness you are already learning to carry. I am with you, and this is only the beginning. My beloved child, there is something important I want you to understand about the way I am leading you right now. I am not guiding you by urgency. I am guiding you by alignment. Urgency shouts, demands, pressures. Alignment settles, confirms, steadies. You have lived a long time responding to urgency. Other people's needs, unspoken expectations, internal fear that told you if you didn't act quickly, something would be lost. That way of living trained you to move fast, but it did not always teach you how to move wisely. Now I am slowing you down, not to frustrate you, but to free you. Slowness creates space for truth to rise. It allows you to notice what you used to overlook. It teaches you how to listen beneath the noise of your own anxiety. This may feel uncomfortable because speed once made you feel productive and safe. But safety rooted in speed is fragile. Peace rooted in trust is durable. You have been discovering how much of your life was shaped by adaptation. You learned how to read rooms, how to anticipate reactions, how to adjust yourself to maintain harmony. That skill protected you when you needed it, but it also taught you to move away from yourself. And now, gently, I am calling you back into your own awareness, back into your own voice, back into the truth of who you are becoming. You may notice that it is harder now to ignore what your spirit is saying. Discomfort lingers longer. Misalignment feels heavier. You cannot unsee what you now recognize. This is not punishment. This is maturity. Awareness always increases responsibility. Not to perform, but to respond honestly. When something no longer fits, pretending it does will only cost you peace. You are learning how to sit with tension without rushing to resolve it. That is new for you. You prefer answers. You prefer closure. But some truths unfold slowly, layer by layer, as you are able to hold them. If I revealed everything at once, it would overwhelm you. So I teach you patiently, allowing understanding to mature alongside your capacity to receive it. There are days when you miss certainty, when you long for a clear sign, a definitive answer, something that removes all doubt. But certainty has a way of bypassing trust. Trust, on the other hand, forms relationship, and relationship is what I desire with you more than your certainty. I want you to know me, not just understand my plans. You are beginning to realize that peace does not come from controlling outcomes. It comes from releasing them. This release feels risky because control once gave you the illusion of safety, but safety built on control always requires vigilance. Peace built on trust allows rest. I am inviting you into rest, not inactivity, but rest of the soul. The kind that does not depend on circumstances being ideal. You have been learning how to respond rather than react. Reaction is fast, fueled by fear or habit. Response is intentional, guided by awareness. Every time you pause, instead of reacting, you create space for wisdom. That pause is holy. It is where I meet you most clearly. Do not underestimate the power of a moment where you choose stillness over impulse. You are also learning how to hold compassion without self-betrayal. This has been difficult because you care deeply. You feel others' pain. You want to help, to fix, to ease discomfort. But you are learning that compassion does not require you to abandon yourself. You can care without carrying what does not belong to you. You can love without losing your boundaries. This balance will protect both your heart and your purpose. There is a growing clarity in you, even if it doesn't yet have words. You sense when something aligns and when it doesn't. You feel drawn toward what is life-giving and resistant to what drains you. Trust this. Discernment does not always arrive as logic. Sometimes it arrives as peace. Sometimes as restraint. Sometimes as a quiet knowing that does not need to be justified. You may feel frustrated that others seem more decisive, more confident, more certain than you right now. But many move quickly because they are uncomfortable with uncertainty, not because they are aligned. Alignment takes patience. It requires listening. It requires honesty. And it often looks slower from the outside, even though it is stronger on the inside. You are not meant to replicate someone else's path. You are meant to walk the one I am shaping specifically for you. Comparison will only distort your vision. When you measure your journey against someone else's pace, you lose sight of your own direction. Keep your eyes on me. I will lead you faithfully. There are parts of your story you still do not understand. Moments that feel unresolved. Chapters that feel incomplete. I am not finished with them. Meaning often reveals itself in hindsight. Trust that nothing you have lived through is random or wasted. Even the things you wish had never happened are being woven into wisdom, compassion, and depth. You are learning how to remain open without being naive, hopeful without being unrealistic, trusting without being passive. This balance is rare, and it is being formed carefully in you. Be patient with the process. You are not late. You are right where you need to be. Stay present. Stay attentive. Stay willing. You do not need to force the next step. When it is time to move, you will sense it, not through panic, but through peace. And I am still with you, watching, guiding, holding space for you as this deeper understanding continues to unfold. My beloved child, I want to speak to the quiet fear you haven't named yet. The one that rises when things slow down. The one that whispers that if nothing dramatic happens soon, maybe nothing ever will. You don't say it out loud, but you feel it. The concern that this season of inward work might be all there is. that you are becoming still while life passes you by. Listen to me carefully now. Stillness is not stagnation. Stillness is where direction is clarified. You have lived long enough reacting to life instead of responding to it. You moved quickly because you had to. You adapted because survival demanded it. But now survival is no longer your assignment. Alignment is, and alignment requires listening more than moving. It requires honesty more than effort. It requires trust more than control. I know you sometimes feel like you are waiting without instructions. That uncertainty makes you uncomfortable because you want to do the right thing. You want to please me. You want to avoid mistakes. But I am not withholding direction from you. I am teaching you discernment. Discernment grows when you learn how to recognize my peace rather than demand immediate clarity. You are not failing because you are unsure. You are learning how to walk without relying on urgency as your guide. Urgency once kept you alert, but it also kept you anxious. I am replacing anxiety-driven motion with peace-led movement. That transition feels strange at first. Peace feels quiet compared to panic. But quiet does not mean weak. Quiet is where strength stabilizes. There are things I have delayed not because you were unready, but because the environment around you was not yet aligned. Timing is not only about you. It is about what surrounds you, what supports you, what would sustain what you are asking for. I see the whole picture. You see only the next few steps. Trust that I am not careless with your future. You have learned a great deal about yourself in this season. What drains you, what restores you, what you can no longer tolerate, what you truly value. This self-awareness is not self-centered. It is essential. When you are unaware of yourself, you live reactively. When you are aware, you live intentionally. Intentional living is how peace is maintained. You may feel grief for the version of you that pushed harder, tolerated more, ignored their own needs. That version did its best with what it knew. Honor it, but do not return to it. You are not meant to live at the edge of exhaustion to prove your worth. You are meant to live rooted, grounded, present. Worth is not earned through depletion. There are moments when you fear that choosing rest means choosing mediocrity, that slowing down means settling, that peace will make you passive. But rest does not cancel purpose. It refines it. When you move from rest, your actions are cleaner, clearer, and more sustainable. I am not preparing you to retreat from life. I am preparing you to engage it wisely. You are also learning how to release responsibility that never belonged to you. Other people's reactions, other people's expectations, other people's disappointments. Carrying those things has weighed you down. Compassion does not require self-sacrifice at the level of self-erasure. Love that destroys you is not love, I ask of you. I teach you how to love with boundaries so that your heart remains intact. You are beginning to trust your inner sense again. The quiet knowing that used to be drowned out by noise and fear. This inner awareness is not something to dismiss. It is part of how I guide you. I speak not only through words, but through peace, restraint, and gentle conviction. As you learn to recognize these signals, you will feel less lost and more anchored, even when the path ahead is not fully visible. You may still struggle with patience. Waiting is not your strength. You want progress you can point to, evidence you can explain. But patience is not passive endurance. Patience is active trust. It is choosing not to rush what requires depth. It is allowing things to unfold at the pace that keeps your heart whole. I want you to hear this clearly. You are not wasting time. You are not missing opportunities meant for you. What is truly aligned with your calling will wait for you to be ready to carry it well. Nothing meant for you will require you to abandon the healing I am doing now. You are becoming someone who responds rather than reacts, who listens before moving, who values truth over approval. This kind of person does not move fast, but they move far. They do not burn out quickly. They endure, and endurance matters more than speed. As we pause here, I want you to recognize how much has already shifted within you. You may not see it fully yet, but you feel it. The steadiness, the awareness, the refusal to return to what once drained you. These are signs of growth, quiet growth, lasting growth. If these words have met you deeply, if you sense that I am speaking to you personally, respond not out of habit, but out of awareness. Like this video, write, "God, I choose trust" in the comments. Let that be your acknowledgement that you are still here, still listening, still willing to walk with me, even when the path unfolds slowly. Stay close. The journey continues, and what lies ahead will be carried best by the steadiness now forming within you. My beloved child, now that you have slowed enough to hear me, I want to teach you how to remain steady when life begins to move again. Stillness is not the destination. It is the place where strength is recalibrated. What I am forming in you now is meant to travel with you into motion, into responsibility, into influence, into seasons where others may look to you for clarity. That is why this grounding matters so deeply. You have noticed that your reactions are changing. What once provoked immediate anxiety now invites a pause. What once sent your thoughts spiraling now meets resistance inside you. This is not detachment. This is discernment. You are learning that you do not have to respond to everything immediately, emotionally, or defensively. You are discovering the power of restraint. And restraint, my child, is not suppression. It is wisdom choosing timing. There will be moments ahead when pressure returns. Deadlines, expectations, demands, voices that ask you to move faster than your spirit is ready for. When that happens, remember what you are learning now. You do not need to abandon your peace to prove your commitment. You do not need to rush to be valuable. Your worth is not measured by urgency. Your value does not increase when you are exhausted. You are also learning how to recognize when fear disguises itself as responsibility. Fear often sounds practical. It says, "You must do this now, or everything will fall apart." But responsibility guided by fear always drains you. Responsibility guided by wisdom steadies you. When something is truly from me, it will invite trust, not panic. It will ask for courage, not self-betrayal. I know you are becoming more aware of how deeply you care. That awareness can feel heavy. You feel the weight of decisions more than before. You think about consequences. You consider impact. This depth of care is not meant to burden you. It is meant to anchor you. When you care deeply, you move thoughtfully, and thoughtful movement prevents harm to yourself and to others. You may still struggle with the desire to be understood, to have your intentions recognized, to feel seen for the effort you make internally. But I want to free you from that dependency. Being understood by everyone is not necessary for walking in truth. Many of the most grounded people you admire were misunderstood during their seasons of growth. Let your consistency speak. Let your peace testify. Over time, truth reveals itself without force. You are learning how to hold space for others without absorbing their emotions. This is new for you. In the past, empathy often turned into over-identification. You carried what was not yours. You confused compassion with responsibility. But now you are learning the difference. You can listen without fixing. You can care without carrying. You can be present without being consumed. This balance will preserve you. There are moments when you still feel the urge to go back to what is familiar, even when you know it no longer fits. Familiarity offers predictability, even when it costs peace. Growth offers uncertainty, but it brings alignment. Choosing growth repeatedly requires courage. And courage does not mean the absence of fear. It means choosing truth even when fear is present. You are doing that more often than you realize. You may also notice that your language is changing. How you speak to yourself, how you describe your experiences, how you frame your struggles. You are becoming less harsh, less condemning, more honest. This shift matters. The way you speak shapes the way you live. When your inner dialogue becomes gentler, your nervous system settles. When your inner world settles, clarity becomes easier to access. You are beginning to understand that uncertainty does not mean danger. For much of your life, the unknown felt threatening because it reminded you of moments when you were unprepared, unsupported, or alone. But you are not in those moments anymore. You are not navigating blindly. I am with you now, and my presence changes the meaning of uncertainty. What once felt unsafe can now become sacred ground where growth takes place. You may notice that your body responds differently to stress than it used to. You catch tension sooner. You feel when something is off more quickly. This awareness is not meant to alarm you. It is meant to guide you. Your body remembers what your mind sometimes ignores. When something pulls you away from peace, pay attention. When something settles you without explanation, notice that too. I am teaching you how to listen holistically, not just intellectually. There will be moments when you feel torn between old instincts and new wisdom. Old instincts tell you to protect yourself by withdrawing, overworking, or controlling outcomes. New wisdom invites you to remain present, to rest when needed, to trust what you cannot manage. These two voices will not always agree. When that tension arises, choose what brings peace without numbing you. Peace that allows you to feel and remain open is from me. You are also learning how to sit with disappointment without letting it define you. Not every hope will unfold the way you imagined. Not every effort will produce immediate results. This does not mean your hopes were foolish or your efforts wasted. It means you are living in a world where growth is non-linear. I am teaching you how to grieve what did not happen without losing faith in what still can. I know there are moments when you replay decisions, wondering if you chose correctly. When you revisit forks in the road and imagine alternate outcomes. This reflection is natural, but do not let it turn into self-doubt. I am not limited by your choices. I can work through any sincere decision you make while seeking truth. You have not ruined your future by being human. I redeem more than you realize. You are becoming more comfortable with saying no, even when it disappoints others. This has been difficult for you because you value harmony. But harmony that costs your integrity is not harmony. It is avoidance. I am teaching you that loving honesty sometimes creates temporary discomfort, but it prevents long-term resentment. Your peace matters. Your truth matters. You may feel less driven by approval now, and that can feel unsettling. Approval once provided direction, reassurance, motivation, but approval is a fragile compass. It shifts depending on who is watching. I am giving you a steadier guide. Inner alignment does not change with opinions. When you live from alignment, you move with confidence even when applause is absent. There are times when you feel the weight of responsibility more deeply than before. You recognize how your choices affect others. This awareness is a sign of maturity, not pressure. But remember this, you are responsible for your obedience, not for everyone's outcomes. You cannot carry what was never placed in your hands. I will guide you in what is yours to hold and what must be released. You are learning how to pray differently now. Not always with words, not always with requests, but with presence. Sometimes prayer is simply sitting with me without trying to fix anything. Sometimes it is breathing deeply and allowing your nervous system to settle in my nearness. Sometimes it is honesty without resolution. These prayers are not lesser. They are intimate. You may feel moments of loneliness, even in connection. This does not mean you are disconnected. It means you are growing beyond surface-level interaction. Depth often feels isolating until it finds resonance. Do not shrink your depth to feel less alone. I will bring connection that meets you where you are, not where you pretend to be. You are also becoming more patient with yourself. Slowly, unevenly, but genuinely. You no longer expect instant transformation. You understand now that change rooted in truth takes time. This patience will sustain you far longer than self-criticism ever could. Speak to yourself the way you would speak to someone you love who is learning. There will be days when you feel strong and days when you feel fragile. Strength does not mean you will never feel fragile again. It means fragility no longer terrifies you. You are learning that you can feel deeply and remain grounded, that emotions can move through you without controlling you. That awareness brings choice. I want you to remember that I am not leading you toward a version of life where everything is easy. I am leading you toward a version of you that is anchored. Anchored people still face storms, but they are not carried away by them. Anchors are formed quietly, deeply, over time. That is what is happening now. You are not late. You are not broken. You are not confused beyond repair. You are in the middle of becoming someone who can hold clarity without arrogance, compassion without collapse, responsibility without fear. Stay with me. Stay present. Stay honest. What is forming in you now will support everything that is coming next, even when you cannot yet see how it all fits together. And I am here, steadier than your questions, closer than your doubts, faithful in every step of this unfolding journey. My beloved child, I want to speak to the way you have been learning to hold yourself with more kindness. It may not feel dramatic, and it may not be consistent yet, but it is real. There was a time when you pushed yourself forward with criticism, believing that harshness would make you better, faster, stronger. You thought if you were strict enough with yourself, you would finally arrive at peace. But peace does not grow in soil watered by shame. It grows where grace is allowed to take root. You are discovering that growth does not require punishment. Awareness does not require self-attack. When you notice a pattern that no longer serves you, I do not ask you to condemn yourself for it. I invite you to understand it. Understanding creates choice. Choice creates freedom. This is how change becomes sustainable instead of exhausting. You may feel surprised by how tired you sometimes are, even when life looks calmer on the surface. This tiredness is not failure. It is integration. Your mind, body, and spirit are learning how to work together instead of against each other. That kind of adjustment takes energy. Be patient with yourself as you recalibrate. You are not lazy. You are realigning. You have spent much of your life bracing yourself for what might go wrong, preparing for disappointment, anticipating loss so it wouldn't hurt as much if it came. That vigilance once protected you, but it also kept your nervous system in a constant state of alert. Now I am teaching you how to rest without fear. Rest does not mean danger is approaching. It means safety is present. You may notice moments where joy appears unexpectedly. Small, quiet joy, a sense of lightness without explanation. And just as quickly, you may feel the urge to guard it, fearing it will disappear if you relax into it. My child, joy is not fragile when it is rooted in presence. Let it come. Let it stay. Let it pass when it does without clinging. Joy does not need to be controlled to be real. You are also learning how to sit with silence differently. Silence used to feel uncomfortable, even threatening. It brought thoughts you didn't want to face, emotions you didn't have time to process. But now, silence is becoming a place of meeting rather than avoidance. In the quiet, you are discovering that you are not alone with your thoughts. I am there, steady, listening, holding space for what arises. There will be times when old habits attempt to resurface, especially when you are tired or overwhelmed. This does not mean you have failed. It means your system is reaching for what it once knew. When this happens, do not panic. Notice. Pause. Choose again. Growth is not about never returning to old patterns. It is about returning to awareness more quickly. You are learning that you do not need to have everything figured out to be at peace. This has been a difficult lesson for you because you equated understanding with safety. But safety does not come from having all the answers. It comes from knowing you are not alone in the questions. I am with you in the unknown, and that changes everything. You may feel more grounded in your body now, more aware of your breath, your posture, your tension. This is not incidental. Wholeness includes your physical self. I speak not only to your mind and spirit, but to your entire being. When your body feels safe, your thoughts slow down. When your breath deepens, clarity becomes more accessible. Pay attention to these small signals. They are part of how I guide you. You are also becoming more selective with what you consume. Conversations, information, commitments, even inner dialogue. You feel the impact of excess more quickly now. This is not sensitivity as weakness. This is discernment as maturity. You are learning what nourishes you and what depletes you. Honor that knowledge. It will protect your peace. You may still struggle with guilt when you choose yourself, when you rest instead of push, when you say no instead of overextend. But guilt does not always mean you are doing something wrong. Sometimes it means you are doing something new. A system trained on self-sacrifice often resists self-respect at first. Let that resistance pass. You are not betraying anyone by honoring your limits. There are moments when you worry that slowing down will cause you to miss opportunities. But what is truly meant for you will not require you to abandon your well-being to obtain it. Opportunities that cost you your wholeness are not assignments from me. I lead through peace, not pressure. You are learning how to be present without constantly evaluating yourself. This is new. You are used to monitoring your performance, your tone, your reactions. Presence asks you to simply be, to experience without analysis, to live without narration. This kind of presence is deeply healing. It allows your nervous system to settle and your spirit to breathe. You may notice that your prayers are changing again. They feel simpler, less structured, more honest. Sometimes they are nothing more than a breath and an awareness of my nearness. This is not regression. It is intimacy. When relationship deepens, language becomes less necessary. I know you sometimes wonder who you will be when this season is complete. What will remain? What will change? You do not need to answer that now. Identity unfolds naturally as alignment deepens. You are not becoming someone unrecognizable. You are becoming someone unburdened. You are learning how to live without constantly bracing for impact, how to trust the present moment, how to remain open without being reckless. This balance is not learned overnight. It is practiced gently, daily, imperfectly, and each time you choose awareness over avoidance, something inside you settles. Remember this: you are not behind in life. You are ahead in self-awareness, and that awareness will guide you more faithfully than urgency ever could. Stay with me. Let this gentler way of living continue to form within you. What you are learning now will shape not only what you do, but how you live. And I am here, steady and near, holding you as you learn how to rest without fear and grow without force. My beloved child, there is a quiet confidence beginning to take shape within you, even if you do not yet recognize it as confidence. It does not announce itself. It does not demand attention. It does not feel loud or bold. It feels steady. It feels grounded. It feels like a subtle knowing that you can face what comes without abandoning yourself. This confidence is not built on certainty or control. It is built on trust, and trust grows slowly, layer by layer, through lived experience. You are learning that you do not need to anticipate every outcome to be prepared. Preparedness does not come from predicting the future. It comes from being anchored in the present. When you are grounded here, now, you are better equipped to respond to whatever unfolds next. Anxiety once convinced you that vigilance was necessary for survival. But vigilance kept you tense, braced, always waiting for something to go wrong. I am teaching you a different posture, one of openness without fear. There are moments when you catch yourself responding differently than you would have before. You pause where you once rushed. You listen where you once defended. You rest where you once pushed through exhaustion. These moments may seem small, but they are evidence of transformation. Change that lasts is rarely dramatic. It is quiet, consistent, and rooted. You may still feel discomfort when things remain unresolved. You want closure. You want clarity. You want to know how the story ends. But I'm teaching you how to live well inside the chapter you are currently in without rushing ahead. Stories lose their depth when chapters are skipped. What you are learning now cannot be learned later. It must be lived through. You have been practicing discernment in subtle ways, choosing when to engage and when to step back. Not every conflict requires your energy. Not every opinion deserves your response. Silence can be wisdom when it is chosen intentionally. You are learning that restraint does not mean weakness. It means strength under control. You may notice that you feel less reactive to others' emotions now. Where you once absorbed everything, you now feel a gentle separation. This is not coldness. It is clarity. You are learning where you end and others begin. This distinction allows you to care without collapsing. It allows you to support without sacrificing yourself. Healthy boundaries do not reduce love. They preserve it. There are times when you still question whether you are doing enough, being enough, progressing enough. Old patterns of self-evaluation do not disappear overnight. When these thoughts arise, meet them with curiosity rather than judgment. Ask what they are protecting you from. Often they are remnants of a time when achievement felt like safety. You no longer need that strategy to survive. You are also learning how to receive. This may be more difficult for you than giving. Giving feels active, controlled, familiar. Receiving requires trust. It asks you to be open, to allow support, to admit need, but you are not designed to live independently of relationship. Interdependence is not weakness. It is how love flows. There may be moments when you feel exposed in this openness, when vulnerability feels risky, when you wonder if it would be safer to return to old defenses. But walls that keep pain out also keep connection away. I am teaching you how to remain open without being unprotected. Discernment is your shield now, not isolation. You are becoming more attuned to timing. You sense when to wait and when to act. This sensitivity did not come from information. It came from presence. Presence sharpens awareness. Awareness guides action. When you remain present, you are less likely to move out of fear and more likely to move out of alignment. You may still feel impatient at times, especially when progress feels invisible. Remember this: roots grow unseen before fruit appears. What is happening beneath the surface is more important than what is visible right now. Do not measure your growth by outward signs alone. Measure it by how you respond under pressure, how you treat yourself in difficulty, how you remain present in uncertainty. You are learning that peace does not mean the absence of struggle. It means the absence of panic within struggle. You can face challenges without losing yourself. You can feel discomfort without being consumed by it. This ability is being formed in you quietly, steadily, intentionally. There will be moments ahead when life tests this steadiness. Unexpected changes, disappointments, decisions that carry weight. When those moments come, you will not face them as the version of yourself that once felt scattered or overwhelmed. You will face them as someone who knows how to pause, breathe, listen, and respond. This is what preparation looks like. You may also notice that your relationship with time is changing. You feel less urgency to fill every moment, to prove productivity, to justify rest. Time is becoming something you inhabit rather than race against. This shift will protect you from burnout and keep you aligned with what matters most. You are not meant to hurry through your life. You are meant to live it fully, honestly, presently. Speed does not equal significance. Depth does, and depth requires patience. I know you still carry questions about purpose, about direction, about what all of this is leading toward. Purpose is not a single destination. It is a way of being. When you live aligned, aware, and grounded, purpose flows naturally through what you do. You do not need to chase it. You embody it. You are becoming someone who can hold complexity without losing clarity, who can feel deeply without being destabilized, who can move forward without abandoning peace. This kind of person is rare, and it is being formed carefully in you. Do not rush this formation. Do not minimize it. What is happening now will shape how you love, how you lead, how you endure. It will influence not only your life, but the lives you touch along the way. Stay with me. Stay attentive. Stay grounded in what is real. You are not drifting. You are being established. And I am here, steady and present, walking with you through each quiet step of this becoming. My beloved child, pause with me again, not because you are unsure, but because reflection is part of becoming whole. You have traveled deeper than you realize. What once felt overwhelming now feels manageable. What once triggered fear now invites awareness. These shifts did not happen overnight, and they did not happen by accident. They happened because you stayed. You listened. You allowed yourself to be shaped instead of rushing past the work. I want you to notice how your inner world has changed. Not perfectly, not completely, but meaningfully. You are less frantic, less reactive, less driven by the need to prove or protect yourself. You have learned how to pause before responding, how to sit with discomfort without escaping it, how to choose honesty over avoidance. These are not small changes. They are signs of maturity forming at the root. There was a time when you believed peace would come after everything was resolved, after answers arrived, after circumstances improved. But now you are discovering something truer. Peace is not the reward at the end of struggle. It is the posture you can carry through it, and you are learning how to carry it. Not because life has become easy, but because you are becoming anchored. You still have questions. You still have moments of doubt. You still feel the pull of old habits when you are tired or stressed. That does not negate your growth. Growth does not eliminate struggle. It changes your relationship to it. You no longer panic at discomfort. You no longer assume uncertainty means danger. You have learned how to breathe, how to listen, how to return to center. That is strength. I know you sometimes wish this process were visible, that others could see how much work you have done internally, that there were markers, milestones, applause. But the work that transforms you most deeply is often unseen, and unseen does not mean unimportant. It means foundational. Foundations are hidden so that what rises on them can stand without collapsing. You have learned how to release urgency that was never mine, the pressure to hurry, to fix, to control. You are learning how to live guided by peace instead of panic. This shift will protect you in ways you do not yet understand. When decisions carry more weight, when responsibility increases, when influence expands, you will not be driven by fear. You will be guided by clarity. There will be moments ahead when life moves faster again, when demands increase, when choices must be made, when others look to you for steadiness. In those moments, remember what you have practiced here. You do not need to abandon your inner alignment to meet outer demands. You can move with intention, not impulse. You can lead without losing yourself. You can act without betraying your peace. You are not who you were when this journey began, and you are not yet who you will be. That space in between is sacred. It is where integration happens, where wisdom settles, where confidence grows quietly. Do not rush through this space. Do not minimize it. It is preparing you for more than you can see right now. I want to speak clearly to any lingering fear that tells you this inward focus means you are falling behind in life. You are not behind. You are becoming grounded. Many move quickly but never become stable. You are becoming someone who can endure, who can adapt without fracturing, who can remain present in both joy and challenge. That kind of person moves far, even if they move slowly at first. You may still feel moments of loneliness. Growth often creates distance from what no longer fits. That distance can feel like loss, but it is also making room for connections that meet you at this depth, room for work that aligns with your values, room for peace that does not require constant maintenance. Trust that what aligns will come in time. You have learned how to listen to your body, to your spirit, to the quiet signals you once ignored. This listening is not passive. It is attentive. It allows you to respond wisely rather than react reflexively. It will save you from paths that drain you and guide you toward ones that sustain you. I know you still want reassurance about the future, about purpose, about direction. Let me give you this reassurance now. You do not need to see the entire path to walk faithfully. You need presence for this step, trust for the next, and willingness to remain open. I will meet you at each turn. I always have. As we pause here, I want you to recognize something important. You chose to stay engaged. You chose awareness over avoidance. You chose honesty over distraction. These choices are shaping your life more than any single decision ever could. They are forming the way you live, love, lead, and endure. If these words have walked with you through this season, if you sense that I have been speaking to you personally, acknowledge that awareness. Not for others, not for performance, but as a simple act of presence, like this video. Write, "God, I'm still walking with you," in the comments. Let that be your quiet, yes, your recognition that this journey is real and ongoing, and stay close. We are not finished. What lies ahead will require the steadiness you are building now, and you are more prepared than you think. I am with you. I have been with you, and I will continue to walk with you step by step as this story unfolds. My beloved child, now that you are learning how to walk with steadiness, I want to show you something deeper about the way I work in your life. I do not rush you into answers, because answers alone do not sustain you. I shape you into someone who can live faithfully even when answers are incomplete. That shaping is happening now, quietly, consistently, in ways you may only recognize later. You have noticed that your questions are changing. You no longer ask only when or why as often as you once did. Instead, you find yourself asking, who am I becoming, and what is being formed in me right now? This shift matters. When your focus moves from outcomes to alignment, you begin to live from wisdom rather than pressure. You may still feel moments of impatience. That does not surprise me. You are human, and desire longs for movement. But impatience no longer controls you the way it once did. You can feel it without obeying it. You can acknowledge it without letting it dictate your choices. This is growth. This is self-leadership rooted in trust. I know there are days when you feel the pull of the past, old versions of yourself that felt more decisive, more driven, more certain. Those versions were strong in the ways they needed to be then, but strength evolves. What protected you before is not always what will sustain you now. You are not losing strength. You are refining it. You are learning that being led by me does not always feel like movement. Sometimes it feels like waiting. Sometimes it feels like restraint. Sometimes it feels like choosing not to act when you could. These moments are not inactivity. They are obedience. They are wisdom choosing timing over impulse. You may still wrestle with the idea that if you do not push, nothing will happen. That belief was formed in seasons where survival depended on effort. But this season is different. You are not being asked to survive. You are being invited to live from trust. And trust does not require constant exertion. It requires presence. You are beginning to recognize how much noise once shaped your decisions, opinions, expectations, comparisons, internal pressure disguised as motivation. As that noise quiets, you may feel exposed at first. Silence removes distractions, and distractions once protected you from feeling uncertainty. But uncertainty held in my presence is not dangerous. It is formative. You are learning to stay with questions without demanding immediate resolution. This patience is not resignation. It is openness. It allows truth to surface naturally rather than being forced prematurely. Forced clarity often collapses under pressure. Mature clarity holds steady. You may notice that your confidence feels quieter now. It does not announce itself. It does not seek validation. It simply rests. This kind of competence is resilient. It does not disappear when challenged. It does not depend on outcomes. It is rooted in knowing you are not alone in your choices. I know you sometimes worry that others may misinterpret your slowness. They may assume hesitation where there is discernment. They may see restraint as fear. Let them. You do not need to rush to correct their perceptions. Truth reveals itself over time through consistency, not explanation. You are learning how to release responsibility for outcomes you cannot control. This has been one of the hardest lessons for you. You want to do things well. You want to prevent harm. You want to get it right. But carrying responsibility beyond your capacity will eventually fracture you. I am teaching you how to do what is yours to do and release the rest to me. You are also becoming more aware of how you speak internally. You notice when your thoughts turn harsh or demanding. You are learning to pause, to soften, to choose truth over criticism. This shift matters more than you realize. The way you speak to yourself shapes how you live in the world. You may still feel uncertain about where all of this is leading. That is okay. Direction does not always arrive as a map. Sometimes it arrives as a compass. Peace becomes your orientation. Alignment becomes your guide. When something pulls you away from peace, you learn to pause. When something settles you deeply, you learn to pay attention. I am teaching you how to trust subtlety. Not every turning point arrives with clarity and excitement. Some arrive as a quiet release, a loss of interest, a gentle nudge away from what once consumed you. These shifts are not accidents. They are guidance. You may feel grief for opportunities you no longer desire. That grief is valid. It honors the life you imagined and the hope you once held. Let yourself feel it without judgment. Grief does not mean you are losing direction. It means you are realigning. You are learning how to stay open without becoming vulnerable to everything. Discernment is becoming your companion. You no longer need to close your heart to protect yourself. You can remain open and still choose wisely. This balance will serve you well in relationships, decisions, and purpose. You are not becoming less passionate. You are becoming more intentional. Passion, guided by awareness, does not burn out. It endures. It adapts. It deepens. You will find that when you do move forward, you do so with clarity that was not possible before. I know there are moments when you want reassurance that you are on the right path. Hear this clearly. You are not wandering. You are not lost. You are not circling endlessly. You are being established. Roots are growing. Awareness is deepening. Strength is stabilizing. What I am forming in you now is not temporary. It will shape how you handle responsibility, success, disappointment, and influence. It will keep you grounded when life accelerates again. It will protect your peace when pressure returns. Stay with me in this. Do not rush ahead of what is still being formed. You will not miss what is meant for you by staying present. You will be ready for it. I am here. I am guiding you. And every quiet step you take in awareness is moving you forward, even when it does not feel dramatic. My beloved child, there is a strength settling into you that does not depend on certainty, approval, or control. It is quieter than what you once called strength, but it is far more enduring. You are learning how to stand without bracing, how to move without forcing, how to remain open without being overwhelmed. This strength is not something you perform. It is something you inhabit. You may still feel moments where old fears knock at the door. They arrive subtly, disguised as concern, practicality, or responsibility. They remind you of times when things fell apart unexpectedly, when you had to hold everything together because no one else would. When those memories surface, do not push them away. Acknowledge them gently. They are reminders of what you survived, not predictions of what is coming. You are no longer navigating alone. You are becoming more aware of how often you once lived ahead of the moment you were in, planning, anticipating, preparing for every possible outcome. That habit gave you a sense of control, but it also robbed you of presence. Now you are learning how to live here, where your feet are, where your breath is, where I meet you most clearly. Presence is not passive. It is powerful. It anchors you to what is real instead of what might happen. There are days when you feel a quiet grief for how long it took you to arrive here. You think about years spent striving, overextending, silencing yourself. Let that grief come without turning it into regret. You did what you knew how to do at the time. You adapted. You survived. And now you are learning how to live more fully. Nothing was wasted. Everything taught you something that is serving you now. You may notice that your relationships are shifting, not dramatically, not all at once, but subtly. You listen differently. You speak more honestly. You tolerate less pretense. Some connections deepen because they can meet you at this level. Others feel strained because they were built on versions of you that no longer exist. This is not betrayal. It is alignment. Relationships that grow with you will feel steadier, not louder. You are learning how to sit with discomfort without immediately seeking relief. This does not mean you enjoy discomfort. It means you trust yourself enough to remain present when things feel unresolved. This capacity will serve you well. Many abandon clarity because they flee discomfort too quickly. You are learning how to stay long enough for truth to surface. There will be moments when you feel tempted to rush decisions just to escape uncertainty. When that urge arises, pause. Ask yourself whether the movement you are considering brings peace or merely relief. Relief fades quickly. Peace endures. I lead you through peace, not pressure. When something is aligned, it will not require you to betray your steadiness to obtain it. You are also learning how to separate urgency from importance. Urgency demands immediate action. Importance invites thoughtful response. Not everything urgent is important, and not everything important is urgent. Discernment allows you to distinguish between the two. This discernment will protect you from burnout and keep you aligned with what truly matters. You may notice that your sense of identity feels less tied to what you produce or accomplish. This can feel disorienting at first. You were praised for achievement. You were valued for contribution. But now you are learning that your worth is not transactional. You do not earn belonging. You do not perform for love. You are loved, and from that place, you live. There are moments when you feel exposed in this new way of being. Without the armor of busyness, without the distraction of constant motion, you feel more visible. That vulnerability can feel risky, but vulnerability held with discernment is not danger. It is authenticity. And authenticity allows connection that performance never could. You are learning how to be honest without being harsh. Honest with yourself, honest with others. Honesty does not require cruelty. It requires courage. Speaking truth gently is a skill you are developing, and it will shape your relationships in healthier ways. You may still feel a pull toward familiar chaos when things become too calm. Calm can feel unfamiliar when your nervous system learned to equate intensity with aliveness. But calm is not emptiness. It is space. Space for creativity, space for joy, space for connection. Let yourself adjust to calm without filling it unnecessarily. You are becoming more aware of your body's signals: fatigue, tension, restlessness. These signals are not inconveniences. They are information. Listening to them allows you to care for yourself proactively rather than reactively. This awareness will keep you grounded as responsibility increases. There are things ahead that will require courage from you. Conversations, decisions, transitions. When those moments arrive, you will not face them as someone scrambling for stability. You will face them as someone who knows how to pause, breathe, listen, and respond. This is what preparation looks like. You may not yet see how all of this inner work connects to your outer life. That connection will become clearer with time. Inner alignment always precedes outward clarity. When your inner world is stable, your outer choices become simpler. Not easier, but clearer. I know you still carry questions about purpose, about how your gifts fit into the world, about where you are meant to invest your energy. Those answers will come, not all at once, but gradually, as alignment deepens. Purpose is not something you chase. It emerges naturally when you live truthfully. You are learning how to trust the process without needing to control it. This trust does not come from blind optimism. It comes from experience. You have seen that even when things did not unfold as planned, you were not destroyed. You adapted. You learned. You grew. That history matters. It proves that you are more resilient than your fear suggests. You are not becoming passive. You are becoming grounded. Grounded people move when it is time and remain still when it is wise. They do not confuse motion with progress. They do not confuse stillness with failure. They listen. They respond. They endure. Stay here with me. Continue to choose presence over prediction, awareness over urgency, truth over comfort. These choices are shaping a life that can hold both joy and responsibility without collapsing. My beloved child, there is a patience growing in you that did not exist before. Not the kind that tolerates discomfort by clenching your teeth and enduring, but the kind that rests while things are unfinished. This patience is not passive. It is confident. It trusts that what is unfolding does not need to be forced to be real. You are learning how to let life reveal itself instead of demanding it explain itself all at once. You have spent much of your life equating waiting with failure, silence with neglect, delay with rejection. Those associations were formed in moments when you felt unseen, unheard, unsupported. But now you are learning a new language. Waiting can be protection. Silence can be intimacy. Delay can be preparation. The meaning of these experiences changes when you are no longer alone inside them. You may still feel the urge to interpret everything immediately, to assign meaning, to decide whether something is good or bad the moment it happens. But wisdom does not rush to conclusions. Wisdom allows time to reveal truth. I am teaching you how to stay curious instead of critical, open instead of defensive. Curiosity keeps your heart soft. Defensiveness hardens it. There are moments when you feel the tension between trust and control. Control feels safer because it promises certainty. Trust feels riskier because it requires surrender. But control has always demanded more from you than it could give back. Trust, on the other hand, gives rest, not because nothing will ever go wrong, but because you are not carrying everything alone. You are learning how to notice when fear disguises itself as wisdom. Fear often sounds responsible. It says, be careful when there is no danger. It says, don't hope when hope is safe. It says, wait until you're sure when certainty is not required. Discernment will help you recognize this voice without obeying it. I do not lead you through fear. When you are fully here, your actions carry weight. When you are aligned, your choices ripple further than frantic effort ever did. You may still feel a subtle fear that if you stop striving, everything will stop working. That if you do not push, doors will close. That if you rest, you will be forgotten. These fears are understandable. They were formed in seasons where you had to hold things together alone. But you are not alone now. And the life that is meant for you does not depend on your exhaustion to survive. You are learning how to trust flow without becoming passive. This balance is important. Trust does not mean inaction. It means listening before acting. It means responding instead of reacting. It means letting clarity lead instead of fear. You are not disengaging from life. You are engaging with it more honestly. You may notice that your sense of identity feels less rigid now. You are no longer defining yourself solely by roles, titles, or outcomes. This can feel unsettling because structure once gave you security. But identity rooted in truth is flexible without being fragile. You are learning who you are beneath what you do. That knowing will stabilize you through changes that would have once shaken you. There are moments when you feel called to release something you once fought to keep. A role, a habit, a version of yourself that no longer fits. Letting go can feel like failure when you are used to equating persistence with virtue. But discernment knows when holding on is no longer faith. It is fear. Releasing what has completed its work makes space for what is next. You may still feel sadness when you look back at how much you carried for so long. Grief for the version of you that survived without support. Compassion for the ways you learned to cope. Let that compassion remain. It is part of your wisdom now. You do not need to erase your past to move forward. You integrate it. You are also learning how to receive guidance without demanding certainty. This has been difficult because certainty once felt like safety. But certainty can be brittle. When life shifts, it cracks. Trust is flexible. It bends without breaking. You are learning to walk with trust, not because you see everything clearly, but because you are no longer afraid of what you cannot yet see. You have become more attentive to timing. You no longer force conversations that are not ready. You no longer push decisions before clarity arrives. You no longer ignore your body's signals in the name of productivity. This attentiveness will protect you from paths that look promising, but drain you in the end. You may still encounter resistance from others who are accustomed to the old version of you. The one who overextended. The one who absorbed responsibility. The one who kept things running at personal cost. When you change, systems that relied on your self-neglect are disrupted. That discomfort is not your failure. It is a sign that something unhealthy is being corrected. You are learning how to stay rooted when others are unsettled. This steadiness will become one of your greatest strengths. Not because you always know what to do, but because you know how to remain present when others panic. Presence calms more than answers ever could. There are moments ahead that will ask more of you, not in quantity, but in quality. Moments that will require clarity, courage, and restraint. You are being prepared for those moments now, not by rehearsing outcomes, but by learning how to stay grounded in yourself and in me. You may wonder when the external changes will arrive, when movement will become visible, when direction will feel concrete. That time will come, but it will come quietly, naturally, without forcing. Alignment always precedes momentum. When momentum comes before alignment, it burns out. When alignment comes first, momentum sustains. I want you to notice something important. You no longer feel compelled to chase meaning. Meaning is finding you in ordinary moments, in stillness, in honesty, in small acts of integrity. This is a sign that you are living from depth, not desperation. You are becoming someone who can hold responsibility without becoming rigid, who can experience success without losing humility, who can face disappointment without losing hope. These capacities are not built quickly. They are formed patiently, and patience is shaping you well. As we pause here, I want you to recognize the courage it has taken to stay present through this journey, to listen, to reflect, to grow without spectacle. This kind of courage is quiet, but it changes everything. If these words resonate with where you are, if you sense that I have been walking with you through this unseen work, acknowledge that awareness, not as performance, but as presence. Like this video. Write "God, I'm staying present" in the comments. Let that be your simple yes, your recognition that you are not rushing away from what is being formed. And remain close. The next season will ask you to move, but you will move from steadiness, not fear, from clarity, not urgency, from alignment, not pressure. My beloved child, now that you are learning how to remain present without striving, I want to show you how this steadiness will begin to shape the way you move in the world. Peace is not something you retreat into. It is something you carry with you. And as you carry it, it will quietly influence your decisions, your relationships, and the paths you choose without needing to announce itself. You are beginning to notice that your reactions no longer define you the way they once did. Emotions still rise, but they no longer command immediate obedience. Thoughts still appear, but they no longer dictate truth. This space between stimulus and response is sacred. It is where freedom lives, and you are learning how to remain there long enough to choose wisely. There was a time when urgency felt like motivation, when pressure felt productive, when tension felt necessary. But you are discovering that urgency clouds judgment. Pressure narrows vision. Tension exhausts clarity. I am teaching you how to act from calm awareness instead of from internal alarm. This shift will protect you in moments when decisions matter most. You may notice that your intuition feels clearer now, not louder, but steadier. It does not rush you. It does not demand attention. It simply waits to be noticed. This is how guidance often comes, without drama, without force. Learn to trust what settles you rather than what excites you. Excitement fades quickly. Peace remains. You are also learning how to release the habit of over-preparing. Over-preparing once gave you a sense of control, a way to manage uncertainty. But preparation driven by fear never feels finished. There is always more to consider, more to anticipate, more to guard against. I am teaching you how to prepare wisely and then rest. Rest is not neglect, it is confidence. There will be moments when you are tempted to step in too quickly, to fix, to smooth over, to prevent discomfort. This impulse comes from care, but it can also come from fear of witnessing struggle. Remember this, not all discomfort needs intervention. Some discomfort is formative. Allow others, and yourself, the dignity of growth without rescuing. You are becoming more comfortable allowing things to unfold without immediate explanation. This is a significant shift for you. You once needed to understand everything in order to feel safe. But now, safety is coming from presence rather than comprehension. You are learning that understanding often arrives after experience, not before. You may notice that your energy is becoming more consistent. Fewer spikes of intensity followed by collapse. More steady engagement. This is the fruit of alignment. When you live from truth rather than urgency, your energy lasts longer. Sustainability is not glamorous, but it is powerful. You are also becoming more aware of when to speak and when to remain silent. Silence used to feel like avoidance or weakness. Now it feels intentional. You are learning that not every truth needs to be spoken immediately, and not every silence needs to be filled. Timing matters. Wisdom knows when words will heal and when they will harm. You may feel moments of sadness when you realize how long you lived without this steadiness, how much you carried unnecessarily, how often you abandoned yourself to meet expectations. Let that sadness be gentle. It does not need to turn into regret. It is simply recognition. And recognition allows compassion to deepen. You are learning how to forgive yourself in real time, not after perfection, not after resolution, but while still learning. This is a profound shift. Self-forgiveness releases you from cycles of shame that stall growth. When you forgive yourself, you free energy for becoming. You may still feel fear when you sense change approaching. Change brings uncertainty, even when it is welcome. But notice how your fear behaves differently now. It no longer overwhelms you completely. It visits, but it does not stay. This is evidence of resilience forming within you. You are also learning how to trust that clarity does not always precede action. Sometimes action reveals clarity. When your heart is aligned, even imperfect steps can be guided. You do not need flawless understanding to move faithfully. Willingness is enough. You may notice that you are less drawn to chaos now, less interested in intensity for its own sake, less willing to tolerate environments that drain you. This is not avoidance. This is discernment. You are choosing life over stimulation, depth over distraction. You are learning how to live without narrating your every experience. Less analysis, less self-monitoring, more presence. This shift allows you to experience life directly instead of constantly interpreting it. Direct experience brings clarity that overthinking never could. There are moments when you feel joy without explanation, not because something happened, but because you are here, alive, breathing, present. These moments are gifts. Receive them without suspicion. Joy does not need justification. You may still encounter days when everything feels heavy again. Old patterns may resurface. Fatigue may cloud your awareness. When this happens, do not assume you have lost ground. Growth is not linear. Return to what you know. Breathe. Pause. Listen. You do not begin again. You continue. You are becoming someone who can hold truth without needing to broadcast it. Integrity is becoming internal rather than performative. This kind of integrity is resilient. It does not shift with approval or criticism. It simply remains. You are learning how to live with openness rather than defensiveness. Defensiveness once protected you, but it also isolated you. Openness, guided by discernment, allows connection without danger. This balance will deepen your relationships in ways you cannot yet see. You may still wonder what all of this is leading toward. Direction will emerge naturally as alignment deepens. You will recognize the next step not by anxiety, but by clarity. Not by pressure, but by peace. I want you to know this clearly. You are not being prepared for a single moment. You are being shaped for a way of living, a way that can adapt, endure, and remain whole through change. Stay with me in this formation. Continue to choose presence over panic, awareness over urgency, truth over performance. These choices are shaping a life that will not fracture under weight. And I am here, walking beside you, steady and attentive, guiding you into what is next, without rushing, without force, without fear. My beloved child, there is a quiet recalibration happening within you now, one that may be difficult to describe, but impossible to ignore. You are no longer driven by the same impulses. The things that once pulled at you with urgency now feel distant, not because you have grown cold, but because you have grown clear. Clarity has a way of softening what once demanded control. You are learning how to trust your inner steadiness more than external signals. This is new for you. For a long time, you looked outside yourself for confirmation, feedback, reassurance, evidence that you were doing the right thing. But now, something deeper is forming. You are learning to recognize alignment not by applause, but by peace. When something fits, your spirit rests. When it doesn't, tension rises. This awareness is becoming your guide. You may notice that you no longer feel compelled to react immediately when something challenges you. There is a pause now, a space where you can breathe, observe, and choose. This space is not hesitation, it is wisdom. In that space, fear loses its authority, and discernment has room to speak. Protect that space. It is one of the greatest gifts you are receiving in this season. There was a time when uncertainty felt like threat, when not knowing felt unsafe, when unanswered questions made you anxious. But you are discovering that uncertainty held in my presence is not dangerous. It is fertile. It allows growth that certainty would prevent. When everything is decided too quickly, depth is sacrificed. You are learning to let depth develop. You are also becoming more aware of how much energy you once spent trying to manage perception, how others saw you, how your choices might be interpreted, how your words might land. This constant monitoring kept you tense. Now, you are slowly releasing that burden. You are learning that living truthfully is more sustainable than living carefully. Truth may be misunderstood at times, but it does not require constant maintenance. You may still feel moments of discomfort when you choose not to explain yourself. Silence can feel risky when you are used to over-clarifying. But not every silence needs defense. Sometimes silence is alignment, choosing restraint. Let your life speak over time. Consistency will communicate what words cannot. You are also learning how to sit with your emotions without being overtaken by them. Feelings still arise. Sadness, frustration, longing. But they no longer define your direction. You are learning that emotions are information, not instruction. They deserve attention, not obedience. This distinction is giving you freedom. There are days when you feel deeply grounded, and days when you feel unsettled again. Do not interpret fluctuation as failure. Integration is not linear. What matters is that you now recognize when you are off-center and know how to return. Awareness shortens the distance between disorientation and clarity. You are becoming more intentional with your commitments. You no longer say yes automatically. You pause. You check inward. You ask whether something aligns with your values and capacity. This may feel uncomfortable at times, especially if you were once praised for your availability. But availability without alignment leads to resentment. Alignment leads to sustainability. You may notice that some people respond differently to you now, not because you are less loving, but because you are more honest. Honesty can feel unfamiliar to those accustomed to your self-sacrifice. Let this change happen without guilt. You are not responsible for maintaining dynamics that required you to abandon yourself. You are also learning how to receive support without feeling weak. This has been difficult for you because independence once felt like safety. But independence without connection becomes isolation. You were not designed to carry everything alone. Receiving does not diminish you. It strengthens you. There is a growing simplicity in the way you approach life. Fewer mental loops, less overanalysis, more directness. This simplicity is not naivete. It is clarity, removing what is unnecessary. When life becomes simpler, energy returns, focus sharpens, peace becomes more accessible. You may still feel grief when you realize how much time you spent disconnected from yourself. Allow that grief without turning it into blame. You did what you needed to do to survive. Now you are learning how to live. Survival strategies do not disappear overnight. They loosen gradually as safety increases. You are becoming more aware of your body's wisdom. When to rest, when to move, when to speak, when to stop. This embodied awareness is part of your healing. I guide you through your body as much as through your thoughts. Pay attention to tension, ease, fatigue, and vitality. They are signals, not inconveniences. You are also learning how to let go of outcomes without losing hope. Hope no longer feels desperate. It feels grounded. You can desire without clinging. You can hope without demanding. This kind of hope is resilient. It does not collapse when plans change. There will be moments when you are tempted to return to old habits simply because they are familiar. Familiarity can feel comforting even when it is misaligned. When that temptation arises, pause. Ask yourself whether familiarity is offering peace or merely predictability. Peace and predictability are not the same. You are learning how to hold your story with compassion. Not editing out the difficult chapters, not glorifying them, but integrating them. Your past is no longer something you need to outrun or justify. It is something you understand. Understanding brings freedom. You may notice that your sense of purpose feels less urgent now. This does not mean you lack direction. It means your purpose is becoming embodied rather than pursued. You live it in how you show up, how you listen, how you respond. Purpose expressed this way is steady and enduring. You are also learning how to trust timing without needing proof. This trust is not blind. It is informed by experience. You have seen that rushing did not bring peace, but alignment did. You have seen that forcing outcomes created exhaustion, but patience created clarity. Let these experiences teach you. You are becoming someone who can remain open without being fragile, strong without being rigid, discerning without being closed. This balance is rare. It is being formed carefully in you because it will matter in seasons to come. I want you to remember that you are not meant to return to who you were. You are meant to move forward as who you are becoming. There is no need to go backward to feel safe. Safety is being built within you now. Stay with me in this steady unfolding. Let clarity continue to settle. Let trust continue to deepen. Let your life move at the pace that keeps you whole. My beloved child, you are beginning to live from a place that once felt unreachable to you. A place where you do not have to brace yourself before each step. For so long, you moved as if the ground beneath you might give way at any moment. You learned how to anticipate loss, prepare for disappointment, guard against hope. That vigilance once protected you, but now it is no longer required. The ground beneath you is steady, and I am teaching you how to trust it. You may notice that you are no longer driven by the same urgency to define yourself. You once felt the need to explain who you were becoming, to justify your pace, to defend your choices. Now, there is less need for explanation, not because you have all the answers, but because you are no longer afraid of the questions. This quiet confidence is not something you decided to have. It is something that grew as you stayed present. You are learning that you do not need to arrive somewhere to be whole. Wholeness is not a destination. It is a way of living. You can be unfinished and still grounded. You can be uncertain and still at peace. You can be learning and still trustworthy. This understanding is changing how you move through your days. There are moments when you catch yourself responding with calm, where you once would have panicked, choosing restraint where you once would have overextended, letting silence do its work where you once would have rushed to fill it. These moments may feel ordinary, but they are markers of transformation. They show that your nervous system is learning safety, and safety allows wisdom to surface. You are also becoming more aware of how deeply you once equated worth with usefulness. You believed you mattered most when you were needed, depended on, indispensable. But being indispensable kept you exhausted. It kept you tied to roles that required self-neglect. I am teaching you now that your worth does not increase when you disappear for others. You are valuable even when you rest, even when you say no, even when you choose yourself. You may feel a quiet grief as you realize how often you abandoned your own needs to maintain connection. Let that grief be gentle. It is not meant to trap you in regret. It is meant to deepen your compassion for yourself and for others who live the same way. Compassion, born from understanding, carries wisdom with it. You are learning how to stay present with others without losing yourself. This is new for you. In the past, connection often meant merging absorbing moods, fixing problems, carrying emotions that were not yours. Now, you are discovering a healthier closeness, one where you can care deeply without collapsing inward, one where you can listen without rescuing, one where you can support without sacrificing your center. You may notice that your emotional landscape feels broader now. You can hold more than one feeling at a time: gratitude and sadness, hope and realism, love and disappointment. This does not mean you are conflicted. It means you are integrated. Integration allows complexity without chaos. There are still moments when uncertainty feels uncomfortable. You would prefer clarity, direction, reassurance. But notice how uncertainty no longer paralyzes you. You can live your life without needing everything resolved first. This capacity is powerful. It allows movement without force and patience without resignation. You are also becoming more honest about what drains you. Environments that once felt tolerable now feel heavy. Conversations that once felt necessary now feel misaligned. This awareness is not judgment. It is information. You are learning how to honor it without guilt. You may still struggle with the fear of disappointing others. That fear was formed in seasons where approval felt like safety. But safety built on approval is fragile. I am teaching you a deeper security now, one that does not depend on being constantly agreeable. When you live in truth, disappointment may happen, but resentment will not. You are learning how to rest without justification. Rest used to feel earned only after exhaustion. Now, you are learning that rest is part of wisdom, not a reward for survival. When you rest, you are not stepping away from life. You are preparing to engage it more fully. You are also beginning to notice moments of clarity arriving unexpectedly, not as full answers, but as gentle knowing. A sense of direction without a detailed map. A quiet conviction without explanation. These moments are guidance. They come when you are receptive, not when you are striving. You may still feel tempted to measure progress by visible change, by outcomes, by milestones others can see. But your deepest progress is happening internally. It shows up in how you speak to yourself, how you respond under pressure, how quickly you return to center. These shifts will shape every visible outcome that follows. You are learning how to release the need to be certain before you move. You once believed certainty was required for obedience, but obedience rooted in trust does not wait for perfect clarity. It listens, responds, and adjusts. I am able to guide you step by step, not because you see the whole path, but because you stay close. You may notice that your creativity, your curiosity, your sense of wonder are slowly returning. These parts of you were once buried under responsibility and vigilance. As safety increases, creativity resurfaces. Wonder is not childish. It is a sign of openness. It allows you to see possibilities where fear once saw risk. There will be moments when life invites you to step forward again. New responsibilities, new opportunities, new relationships. When those invitations come, you will not step into them as someone scrambling for stability. You will step into them grounded, aware, and discerning. This is why this season matters. You are becoming someone who can live without rushing, love without losing yourself, and choose without fear. This kind of person moves through the world differently. They create space instead of pressure. They bring calm instead of chaos. They endure. I know you still wonder how all of this will come together, how inner work will translate into outer direction. Trust that it will. Alignment always finds expression. What is forming now will shape the way you speak, the way you lead, the way you love, and the way you respond to challenge. You are not stuck. You are not circling endlessly. You are being established at a depth that will support what comes next. Stay with me in this quiet strength. Let it continue to grow. Let it continue to anchor you. There is nothing rushed about what I am doing in you, and nothing wasted about the time it takes. I am here, steady, patient, present, walking with you as this deeper clarity becomes the ground you stand on. My beloved child, something important is happening beneath the surface now, something that cannot be rushed and does not need to be announced. You are no longer asking me to remove uncertainty as quickly as possible. You are learning how to live with it without fear. That shift alone changes everything. Fear once demanded immediate answers. Trust allows space, and space is where wisdom grows. You may notice that your thoughts feel less crowded than they used to. Not empty, not silent, but calmer. There is more room between one thought and the next. This is not because life has become simpler, but because you are no longer fighting every moment internally. Resistance drains energy. Acceptance restores it. You are learning the difference. You are also becoming more comfortable with not knowing how things will turn out. This would have terrified you before. You believed that uncertainty meant danger. But now you are discovering that uncertainty held with awareness becomes possibility rather than threat. You can stand in the unknown without collapsing, because you are no longer standing there alone. There was a time when you felt responsible for anticipating every problem, preventing every disappointment, managing every outcome. That responsibility shaped you, but it also exhausted you. I am gently relieving you of burdens you were never meant to carry. You are learning that responsibility does not mean control. It means faithfulness within your limits. You may still feel moments of grief when you realize how much of your life was spent bracing instead of living. Let that grief come without judgment. It is part of waking up. It honors how hard you tried to survive and how much you longed for safety. That longing is being met now, not by control, but by presence. You are beginning to recognize that safety does not come from predicting the future. It comes from being anchored in the present. When you are here, truly here, you are resourced. You can respond. You can adapt. You can choose. Anxiety pulls you into imagined futures. Presence brings you back to what is real. You are also learning how to hold disappointment without letting it define you. Some things will not unfold the way you hoped. Some paths will close. Some answers will take longer than you expected. But disappointment no longer convinces you that you have failed, or that I have abandoned you. It is becoming information rather than identity. You may notice that you are less reactive to other people's emotions now, not because you care less, but because you are clearer about what is yours to carry. You can empathize without absorbing. You can support without fixing. This clarity is protecting your energy and preserving your compassion. There are moments when you feel drawn to simplicity. Fewer commitments, fewer explanations, fewer distractions. This is not withdrawal. It is refinement. As your inner world becomes clearer, excess naturally falls away. You are making room for what matters. You may still feel the pull of old habits when you are tired or overwhelmed. That does not mean you have lost ground. It means your nervous system is asking for reassurance. Respond gently. Rest. Slow down. You are learning how to care for yourself in real time, not only after collapse. You are also becoming more honest about what you want, not what you think you should want, not what impresses others, but what brings life to your spirit. This honesty may surprise you. Some ambitions lose their grip. Some desires soften. Others become clearer. Desire refined by truth becomes sustainable rather than consuming. You are learning how to stay present during transitions instead of rushing to the next stable point. Transitions are uncomfortable because they lack definition, but they are also fertile. They allow new identities to form without the pressure of labels. Let yourself remain undefined for a while. You are becoming. You may still struggle with the fear of making the wrong choice. That fear once paralyzed you. Now it visits, but it does not stay. You are learning that there is rarely a single perfect choice. There are aligned choices and misaligned ones, and I am able to guide you even when you step imperfectly. You are not fragile. Your life is not ruined by one decision. You are also noticing that your inner dialogue has softened. You correct yourself without cruelty. You acknowledge mistakes without spiraling. This gentleness is not weakness. It is maturity. Harshness never produced lasting change. Kindness creates safety, and safety allows growth. You are becoming more aware of time, not as something chasing you, but as something you move within. You no longer feel the same panic about falling behind. You are beginning to trust that your pace is not an error. It is aligned with the work being done in you. You may still feel moments of loneliness, especially when your depth is not easily shared. Growth often creates distance from surface-level connection. But do not shrink your depth to feel less alone. I will bring connection that can meet you where you are, not where you pretend to be. You are learning how to listen for guidance without demanding signs. Guidance often comes quietly, as a sense of peace, a hesitation, a gentle pull away or toward. Learn to trust these movements. They are not random. They are how I lead when you are attentive. You are also learning how to forgive yourself faster. You no longer need to punish yourself to prove you care. Care shows itself in awareness, not in shame. Each time you return to center, instead of spiraling, you reinforce trust within yourself. You may notice that your capacity for gratitude has deepened. Not performative gratitude, not forced positivity, but genuine appreciation for small, ordinary moments. Gratitude grounds you. It reminds you that life is not only about what is coming next, but about what is already here. You are learning how to live without constantly asking, is this enough? Enough effort? Enough progress? Enough healing? Enough faith? The question is shifting now. It is becoming, is this honest? Honesty sustains you more than perfection ever could. You may still wonder when movement will become more visible, when clarity will sharpen, when direction will solidify. It will, but it will come from this steadiness, not in spite of it. When the time comes to move, you will recognize it not by anxiety, but by readiness. You are becoming someone who can stand in uncertainty without fear, in stillness without restlessness, in transition without panic. These capacities are rare. They are being formed carefully because they will matter deeply in what comes next. You are not being delayed. You are being strengthened. You are not, my beloved child. You have come farther than your memory allows you to measure, not in distance, but in depth. There was a time when your life felt like something you had to outrun. Fear behind you, expectations beside you, uncertainty ahead of you. You kept moving because slowing down felt dangerous. But look at you now. You are standing without bracing. You are breathing without panic. You are listening without needing everything to make sense. This is not small. This is transformation. I want you to understand something clearly now. The work that has been happening in you was never meant to make you passive. It was meant to make you rooted. Rooted people are not easily shaken. They do not disappear under pressure. They do not abandon themselves when life becomes demanding. They remain. And because they remain, they can move when the time is right. You may notice that you no longer feel the same desperation to figure it all out. That desperation once convinced you that clarity was urgent, that delay meant danger, but now clarity is arriving differently. It comes as steadiness, as discernment, as an inner sense that you will recognize the next step when it appears. This knowing is quiet, but it is strong. There are still moments when fear tries to revisit you. It asks whether you have waited too long, whether you should have moved faster, whether others are getting ahead. When those thoughts arise, do not argue with them. Simply notice how little authority they have now. Fear no longer runs your life. Awareness does. You are learning how to live without constant self-surveillance. You no longer monitor every thought, every feeling, every reaction, as if one mistake will undo you. This release is important. Growth does not require perfection. It requires presence. And you are present in ways you never were before. You may notice that your sense of identity feels more spacious now. You are not clinging to labels or roles to feel secure. You are allowing yourself to be fluid without being lost. This flexibility will serve you well. Life changes. Seasons shift. Roles evolve. Identity rooted in truth adapts without breaking. You are also beginning to recognize how much strength exists in restraint. Choosing not to respond immediately. Choosing not to explain yourself endlessly. Choosing not to fix what is not yours to fix. These choices conserve your energy and protect your peace. Restraint is not weakness. It is wisdom practiced in real time. You may still feel moments of longing for direction, for movement, for something new to begin. That longing is not impatience. It is readiness forming. Readiness does not rush. It prepares quietly. When movement comes, it will feel natural, not forced. You will not need to convince yourself to step forward. You will know. You are learning how to hold hope without gripping it tightly. Hope no longer feels fragile to you. You are not afraid to hope because you are no longer afraid of disappointment the way you once were. You know now that disappointment does not destroy you. It informs you. It refines you. It redirects you. You may notice that your faith feels less dramatic but more dependable. Fewer emotional highs. Fewer desperate lows. More steadiness. This is not loss. It is maturity. Mature faith does not need constant reassurance. It rests in relationship. It trusts presence more than outcomes. You are also learning how to be honest with yourself without being harsh. You can acknowledge where you still struggle without spiraling into shame. This honesty creates safety within you. And where there is safety, growth continues naturally. There will be moments ahead when life becomes louder again. Decisions will require action. Responsibilities will increase. Others may look to you for stability. When those moments come, you will not rise to them by abandoning what you have learned here. You will rise to them because of what you have learned here. You are becoming someone who can act without panic, speak without defensiveness, wait without resentment, and move without fear. These qualities are not learned quickly. They are earned through lived experience, through patience, through choosing awareness again and again. You may still wonder how all of this connects to purpose. Purpose is not separate from who you are becoming. Purpose flows through alignment. When you live aligned, what you do carries meaning naturally. You do not have to search for purpose as if it is hiding from you. It emerges as you live truthfully. I want you to hear this clearly now. You have not wasted this time. You have not stalled your life. You have not missed your moment. You have been preparing in the most important way possible internally. What you are able to carry next depends on who you are becoming now. There will be new beginnings ahead, new responsibilities, new connections, new expressions of who you are. When they arrive, they will not demand that you sacrifice your peace to obtain them. They will meet you where you are, grounded, aware, and whole. You are not the person you were when this journey began, and you are not finished becoming. That is not a problem. That is life lived honestly. As we pause here, I want you to acknowledge the steadiness that has formed within you. Not loudly, not dramatically, simply, honestly. If you sense that these words have been walking with you, shaping how you see yourself and your life, respond in awareness. Like this video, write "God, I'm grounded and ready" in the comments. Let that be your quiet confirmation. Not that everything is clear, but that you are present, willing, and no longer afraid of the pace of becoming. Stay close. What comes next will require movement, but you will move from peace, not pressure. From clarity, not chaos. From truth, not fear. I am with you. I have always been with you, and I will continue to guide you step by steady step into what is next. My beloved child, now that your roots have gone deeper, you may begin to feel a subtle stirring, a readiness that does not feel rushed, a sense of movement that does not feel anxious. This is not the old urgency returning. This is alignment beginning to express itself. Movement born from alignment feels different. It does not push, it invites. It does not demand proof. It offers clarity. You are learning how to recognize the difference between pressure and invitation. Pressure feels tight in your body. It shortens your breath. It rushes your thoughts. Invitation feels spacious. It allows you to consider without panic. It respects your pace. As you move forward, this distinction will matter greatly. Follow what opens you, not what corners you. You may notice that your desires are becoming simpler, but deeper. Less about accumulation, less about recognition, more about meaning, more about integrity, more about living in a way that feels coherent inside. This shift is not accidental. Desire shaped by alignment leads to fulfillment rather than exhaustion. There was a time when you feared stillness because you believed it meant nothing was happening. Now you know better. Stillness was preparing you, and preparation naturally leads to expression. Seeds do not remain underground forever, but when they rise too early, they wither. You have not risen too soon. You have waited long enough to be strong. You may feel moments of excitement now, but notice how different it feels. It does not hijack your nervous system. It does not come with panic. It does not ask you to abandon discernment. This is healthy anticipation. It coexists with peace. It does not replace it. You are also learning how to trust your timing without needing to compare it to others. Comparison once distorted your sense of progress. You believed speed meant success and visibility meant value. But now you see more clearly. Some of the most meaningful growth happens quietly. Depth is not always visible, but it is always influential. You may notice that you are less tolerant of things that pull you out of alignment, not in anger, but in clarity. You feel it sooner. You choose differently faster. This is not rigidity. It is discernment becoming embodied. You no longer need long explanations to justify your choices. You trust what you sense. You are also learning how to step forward without announcing it. In the past, movement needed validation to feel real. Now, you can act quietly, faithfully, without needing witnesses. This kind of movement is powerful. It is rooted in truth rather than reaction. There will be moments ahead when you are invited to take responsibility again. Not the kind that drains you, but the kind that fits. Responsibility aligned with your values will energize you rather than exhaust you. Pay attention to how your body responds. Alignment brings vitality even when effort is required. You may still feel hesitation at times. That is not a sign to stop. Hesitation now is thoughtful, not fearful. It checks in. It listens. It ensures that movement is integrated rather than impulsive. Honor that pause. It will keep you from repeating old patterns. You are becoming someone who can move forward without abandoning rest. Rest will remain part of your rhythm, not something you sacrifice once life becomes full again. This balance will protect you from burnout and keep your joy accessible. You may notice that your relationships respond to this shift. Some people will feel safer with you. Others may feel unsettled. Your steadiness mirrors what is unresolved in others. This is not your responsibility to fix. Remain kind. Remain clear. Let others respond as they need to. You are also learning how to carry confidence without arrogance. Confidence now feels like self-trust, not self-importance. It allows you to admit when you do not know. It allows you to learn without shame. It allows you to lead without controlling. You may feel moments of grief for paths you are choosing not to take. Even aligned choices come with loss. Let that grief exist without questioning your direction. Every yes contains many no's. Wisdom chooses consciously and grieves honestly. You are learning how to let your life expand without becoming scattered. Expansion used to mean doing more faster. Now expansion means living more fully, more truthfully. It means depth, not diffusion. There will be days when you feel ready to move, and days when you need to pause again. This does not mean you are inconsistent. It means you are responsive. Life is rhythmic. You are learning to move with it instead of against it. You may still wonder how to know when it is time to act. Listen for peace that persists even when fear is present. Fear may accompany growth, but it should not dominate it. When peace remains underneath fear, you are safe to move. You are also learning how to trust that you will recognize opportunity when it arrives. You do not need to hunt it anxiously. Alignment draws what fits. What is meant for you will meet you at the pace that keeps you whole. You are becoming someone who can begin again without erasing what you have learned. New beginnings do not require amnesia. They require integration. You carry your wisdom forward with you now. You may feel gratitude for this season even as you feel ready to leave it. Both can coexist. Gratitude honors what was. Readiness honors what is coming. You do not need to choose between them. I want you to understand this clearly. What comes next will not undo what has been formed. It will rely on it. The steadiness, the awareness, the discernment you now carry will shape every step forward. You are not stepping into the unknown unprepared. You are stepping into it grounded. And grounded people move differently. They do not rush. They do not panic. They respond. Stay attentive. Stay honest. Stay close to me as movement begins to take shape again. You will not lose yourself in what comes next. You will carry yourself with wisdom. And I am here, walking with you into this next expression of becoming, steady and present, guiding each step as alignment turns into action. My beloved child, as movement begins to take shape again, I want you to understand that you are not returning to an old version of momentum. This is not the kind of movement that consumes you. This is movement that cooperates with your soul. It does not rush ahead of your wisdom. It does not silence your body. It does not demand sacrifice at the cost of your peace. It flows from what has been formed within you. You may notice that decisions feel different now. You do not feel compelled to decide simply to escape uncertainty. You can sit with options without anxiety pushing you to choose prematurely. This is discernment maturing. It allows clarity to surface naturally instead of being forced. When a decision aligns, you will feel it not as pressure, but as coherence. Things will make sense inside you, even if they are not yet fully explained. You are learning how to carry responsibility without carrying fear. In the past, responsibility felt heavy because it came with the belief that everything depended on you. Now, you understand something deeper. You are responsible for your faithfulness, not for controlling outcomes. This understanding lightens your load and sharpens your focus. You do what is yours to do, and you release the rest. You may feel moments of vulnerability as you begin to engage more fully again. Opening yourself to movement means opening yourself to uncertainty. But notice how vulnerability feels different now. It is no longer raw and destabilizing. It is grounded. You know how to return to yourself. You know how to pause, breathe, and listen. You are no longer afraid of feeling exposed because you are not anchored. You are also learning how to pace yourself when excitement returns. Excitement once pulled you into overextension. Now, you can feel anticipation without letting it override wisdom. You can move forward while still resting. You can pursue what matters without abandoning what sustains you. This balance will protect you from repeating old cycles. You may notice that your intuition speaks more clearly now during action than it did during stillness. Stillness sharpened your awareness. Movement will refine it. As you step forward, pay attention to how your energy responds. Alignment feels expansive, even when effort is required. Misalignment feels constricting even when something looks good on the surface. Trust these signals. They are part of how I guide you. You are learning that courage no longer needs to be loud to be real. Courage now looks like honesty, like saying no when something pulls you out of truth, like saying yes when something calls you forward even without guarantees. Courage grounded in awareness is steady. It does not seek validation. It simply responds. There may be moments when you feel tempted to prove that you have changed, to demonstrate growth through performance. But growth does not need demonstration. It reveals itself through consistency, through how you respond under pressure, through how you treat yourself when things do not go as planned. Let your life speak quietly. It will be heard. You are also learning how to hold ambition without letting it dominate you. Ambition aligned with truth does not consume your peace. It cooperates with it. You can desire impact without chasing importance. You can work diligently without attaching your worth to outcomes. This balance allows you to build something that lasts. You may feel moments of uncertainty about how others will respond to this version of you. Some will welcome your steadiness. Others may resist it because it no longer fits the roles they assigned you. Let their reactions belong to them. You do not need to manage how you are received. You need to remain truthful in how you live. You are becoming more comfortable letting plans remain flexible. Rigidity once felt like safety. Now, flexibility feels wiser. Flexibility allows adjustment without panic. It allows you to respond to new information without feeling like you have failed. Life is dynamic. You are learning how to move with it rather than against it. You may notice that you are less afraid of mistakes now. Mistakes no longer feel like evidence of inadequacy. They feel like information. They teach you. They refine you. They do not define you. This freedom allows you to act without paralysis. You are also learning how to ask for help without shame. You understand now that interdependence is not weakness. It is design. Allowing support does not diminish your strength. It multiplies it. You are never meant to walk alone, especially as responsibility increases. You may feel gratitude for the season of stillness, even as you step into motion. Hold that gratitude. It will keep you grounded. It will remind you of what matters when life becomes full again. Stillness taught you how to listen. Movement will teach you how to apply what you heard. You are learning how to remain present even as your days become more engaged. Presence does not disappear when life gets busy. It becomes more valuable. Presence keeps you from living on autopilot. It keeps your choices conscious. It keeps your heart open. There will be moments when you feel the pull of old patterns, overcommitting, rushing, neglecting rest. When you notice this, pause, not with judgment, but with curiosity. Ask what you are protecting yourself from. Often the impulse to rush comes from fear of missing out or fear of falling behind. You no longer need those fears to guide you. You are becoming someone who can move forward without losing depth. Many move forward by numbing themselves. You are moving forward by staying awake. This will make your journey feel more real, more textured, more human. It will also make it more meaningful. You may still wonder how everything will fit together, how your inner work will translate into outer expression. Trust that it will. Alignment always seeks expression. What has been formed within you is not meant to remain hidden. It will shape how you speak, how you choose, how you lead, how you love. You are not stepping into this next phase unprepared. You are stepping into it resourced. Resourced with awareness, with discernment, with patience, with self-trust. These are not small things. They are what allow you to carry responsibility without losing yourself. As movement continues, remain attentive, not anxious, not hyper-vigilant, simply attentive. Notice what brings peace. Notice what drains it. Adjust gently. Growth does not require force. You are not becoming someone new by leaving who you were behind. You are becoming more fully yourself by integrating everything you have learned. This integration will guide you more faithfully than any rigid plan ever could. And I am here, walking with you as stillness turns into movement, as preparation turns into expression, as what has been formed within you begins to shape the life you are living now. My beloved child, as you continue to move, I want you to remember that movement does not mean certainty. You may still feel moments where you question whether you are doing enough, choosing well, or heading in the right direction. These questions do not mean you are misaligned. They mean you are awake. Awareness always brings questions before it brings confidence. Let those questions refine you, not restrain you. You are learning how to walk without gripping the outcome. This is new for you. You once believed that caring deeply meant holding tightly, but tightness restricted your breath. It narrowed your vision. It exhausted your spirit. Now, you are learning how to care with open hands. What is meant to stay will remain without force. What needs to change will reveal itself without chaos. You may notice that when challenges arise now, your first instinct is no longer panic. There is a pause, a breath, a moment of inward listening. This pause is not indecision. It is wisdom making room for guidance. In that pause, I meet you, not with condemnation, not with urgency, but with clarity that settles rather than pressures. You are also learning how to hold responsibility without absorbing stress. Responsibility used to feel like weight pressing on your chest. Now, it feels more like direction. You know what is yours to carry and what is not. This distinction will protect you. When you carry what belongs to me, you will always feel overwhelmed. When you carry what belongs to you, you will feel stretched but supported. There will be times when the pace of life increases again. Tasks will stack. Decisions will come quickly. Voices will ask for answers. When that happens, remember that speed does not require surrendering your center. You can move quickly and remain grounded. Grounded movement comes from presence, not from control. You may still feel moments of self-doubt when something does not go as planned. Old thoughts may whisper that you should have known better, moved differently, chosen sooner. When those thoughts appear, meet them with truth. You are allowed to learn. You are allowed to adjust. You are allowed to grow in real time. Perfection was never the requirement. Willingness was. You are becoming more comfortable with the idea that clarity often follows action. Not reckless action, but aligned steps taken in trust. Waiting for perfect understanding can become avoidance. Discernment asks you to listen, not to freeze. When you move with honesty, I am able to redirect you gently if needed. You are not off course because you are human. You may notice that your confidence now feels quieter but more dependable. It does not rise and fall with praise or criticism. It rests in knowing that you can face what comes without losing yourself. This confidence is not arrogance. It is trust, matured through experience. You are also learning how to let joy exist alongside responsibility. In the past, seriousness felt necessary to manage life. Now, you are discovering that joy does not undermine responsibility. It strengthens it. Joy restores your energy. It keeps your heart open. It reminds you why what you do matters. You may feel moments of resistance when things feel too calm. Calm can feel unfamiliar when you live so long in vigilance. When calm arises, your system may look for something to fix, something to worry about. When this happens, gently return to the present moment. Calm is not a problem to solve. It is a state to inhabit. You are learning how to stay with yourself in motion. In the past, movement pulled you away from your inner awareness. Now, you are carrying awareness with you. This is integration. It allows you to notice when you are tired before collapse. It allows you to recognize misalignment before resentment builds. It allows you to choose rest without crisis. You may notice that your creativity feels different now. Less forced, less urgent, more authentic. Creativity thrives in safety. As your nervous system settles, expression becomes more honest. You are no longer creating to prove. You are creating to express what is true. You are also learning how to remain open to learning without feeling inferior. You can receive feedback without shame. You can change your mind without self-betrayal. You can grow without erasing your past. This humility will keep you teachable and grounded. There will be moments when you are tempted to compare your progress with others again. Comparison may return quietly, especially when visibility increases. When it does, return to what you know. Your path is shaped for you. Your timing serves your formation. What looks slow from the outside may be precise from the inside. You are learning how to hold ambition gently. Ambition once pushed you to ignore your limits. Now, ambition listens. It collaborates with wisdom. It respects your humanity. This version of ambition will allow you to build something sustainable rather than impressive but fragile. You may still encounter situations that test your boundaries, requests that ask too much, expectations that ignore your capacity. When this happens, remember that boundaries are not walls. They are guides. They show others how to engage with you in ways that preserve integrity. Saying no when necessary is an act of stewardship, not selfishness. You are becoming more attentive to the quality of your inner life. You notice when you are drifting into distraction. You notice when you are disconnected from your body. This noticing allows gentle correction. You no longer need breakdowns to wake you up. Awareness is enough. You may still fear at times that you will lose this steadiness as life becomes more demanding. But steadiness is no longer something you manufacture. It is something you practice. Each time you pause, each time you listen, each time you choose alignment over urgency, steadiness deepens. You are learning how to trust that you will recognize when it is time to rest again. Rest will not disappear just because you are moving. Rest is now part of your rhythm. This rhythm will sustain you through seasons of expansion. You may still wonder how much further this journey goes. Growth does not have a finish line. It has seasons. This season is teaching you how to carry movement without losing depth. Another season will teach you something else. Trust that I will meet you in each one. You are not walking alone in this. I am not watching from a distance. I am walking with you, attuned to your pace, attentive to your needs, present in every decision you face. When you pause, I am there. When you move, I move with you. You are becoming someone who can live awake without being overwhelmed, engaged without being consumed, responsible without being burdened. This balance is not common. It is being formed carefully because it will matter deeply. Continue forward with honesty. Continue listening. Continue adjusting gently. You do not need to rush to arrive anywhere. You are already living within what is real. And I am here, steady, near, and faithful, guiding you through this unfolding movement as preparation becomes lived experience and wisdom becomes embodied life. My beloved child, there will be moments now when you realize just how differently you are moving through the same kinds of situations that once overwhelmed you. Circumstances may look familiar, but your inner posture has changed. You are no longer bracing for impact before it arrives. You are no longer assuming the worst before anything happens. You are meeting life as it comes, not as you fear it might. This shift is subtle, but it is profound. You are learning how to let moments be what they are, without immediately categorizing them as success or failure. In the past, you measured everything quickly, deciding whether it meant you were doing well or falling behind. That constant evaluation kept you anxious. Now, you are allowing experiences to unfold without rushing to judge them. This patience gives truth time to reveal itself. You may notice that when something unexpected happens, your first instinct is no longer to blame yourself. You do not immediately assume you made a mistake or missed a sign. Instead, you pause. You ask what this moment is teaching you. This curiosity replaces self-criticism, and curiosity keeps your heart open. You are also learning how to stay grounded when emotions rise. Strong feelings no longer feel dangerous. You do not need to suppress them or be ruled by them. You can feel deeply and remain steady. This ability allows emotions to move through you without defining your direction. You are no longer afraid of what you feel. There may be times when you are surprised by how calm you are in situations that once would have unsettled you. Do not question this calm as indifference. It is not that you care less. It is that you trust more. Trust reduces urgency. Trust allows you to respond rather than react. You are becoming more aware of how often you once rushed to close chapters prematurely. You wanted resolution quickly so you could feel safe again. But some chapters need to remain open longer, so wisdom can form. You are learning how to let stories develop without forcing an ending. You may still feel moments of impatience, especially when you sense potential ahead of you. Potential can create tension because it has not yet taken shape. When impatience arises, notice it without letting it drive you. Readiness does not need to hurry. It prepares quietly. You are also learning how to remain present in moments of success without becoming attached to them. In the past, success felt fragile, like something you needed to protect. Now, you can enjoy what is going well without clinging to it. This freedom allows joy without anxiety. You may notice that your internal expectations have softened. You no longer demand perfection from yourself. You aim for honesty instead. Honesty allows growth. Perfection stifles it. This shift is changing how you experience learning, mistakes, and progress. You are becoming more comfortable admitting when you do not know. Not knowing no longer feels like failure. It feels like space for discovery. This humility keeps you open to guidance rather than locked into assumptions. You may still encounter moments when others project their urgency onto you. They may rush you, question your pace, or misunderstand your steadiness as hesitation. When this happens, remain anchored. You do not need to adopt someone else's anxiety to prove your commitment. Your pace is not a lack of care. It is discernment in action. You are learning how to let go of the need to control timing. Timing once felt like something you had to manage aggressively. Now, you trust that clarity will arrive when you are able to carry it well. This trust does not make you passive. It makes you attentive. You are also learning how to notice when you are over-engaging mentally. Overthinking used to feel productive, like preparation. Now, you recognize when thought becomes noise rather than insight. When that happens, you return to your breath, your body, the present moment. This return restores clarity. You may notice that you are less reactive to uncertainty in others. You do not feel compelled to fix their discomfort or resolve their confusion. You can stand steady while others process. This steadiness offers safety without control. You are becoming someone who can hold complexity without rushing to simplify it. Life rarely fits into clean categories. You are learning how to live with nuance, contradiction, and tension without losing direction. This maturity allows wiser decisions over time. There may be moments when you miss the adrenaline of urgency. Urgency can feel energizing, even when it is unhealthy. As that adrenaline fades, you may feel a quieter kind of motivation. This motivation is sustainable. It does not burn you out. It carries you forward steadily. You are also learning how to honor your limits before they become crises. You notice fatigue sooner. You listen when your body asks for rest. You no longer wait until exhaustion forces you to stop. This attentiveness is an act of wisdom, not weakness. You may notice that your values are guiding you more clearly now. Decisions are filtered through integrity rather than impulse. You ask whether something aligns, not just whether it is possible. This alignment reduces regret. You are learning how to engage deeply without losing perspective. You can invest your energy without attaching your worth to outcomes. This allows you to give your best without being consumed by results. There will be moments when you feel the temptation to speed up, simply because others are moving faster. When that urge arises, return to what you know. Your pace is serving your formation. What you are building now needs depth, not haste. You are becoming someone who can pause without guilt. Pausing does not mean you are falling behind. It means you are checking alignment. These pauses will save you from paths that look promising but drain you in the end. You may still feel moments of doubt about whether this steadiness will last. Steadiness is not something you hold perfectly. It is something you return to. Each return strengthens it. You are also learning how to allow joy to be simple. Joy does not need to be extraordinary to be meaningful. Ordinary moments carry beauty when you are present. Presence allows life to be experienced rather than evaluated. You are becoming more comfortable with the idea that growth continues even when nothing obvious is happening. Growth is not always visible. Sometimes it is stabilizing what is already formed. Stabilization is just as important as expansion. You may notice that your sense of trust is no longer abstract. It is embodied. You feel it in how you breathe, how you respond, how you rest. This embodied trust will carry you through moments when words are insufficient. You are learning how to live without constantly scanning for danger. This does not mean you are unaware. It means you are no longer living in survival mode. Safety has become internal rather than conditional. You may still feel moments of fear about the future. Fear may visit, but it does not rule. You know how to remain present even when fear appears. Presence dissolves fear's authority. You are not drifting through this season. You are stabilizing. Stability allows movement without collapse. It allows responsibility without rigidity. It allows growth without self-betrayal. Stay attentive to these quiet changes. They are signs that what has been formed within you is becoming lived reality. You are not just understanding truth, you are embodying it. And I am here continuing to walk with you, attentive to your pace, present in your pauses, guiding you gently as steadiness becomes your natural way of being. My beloved child, take a moment now and notice how naturally steadiness is beginning to live in you. You are no longer forcing it. You are no longer reminding yourself to be calm, to be patient, to be grounded. It is becoming your default. This is how transformation reveals itself, not as a sudden change, but as a quiet shift where what once required effort now feels natural. There was a time when you believed growth would feel dramatic. You expected it to arrive as confidence that never wavered, clarity that never questioned, strength that never tired. But real growth looks different. It looks like knowing how to return when you drift. It looks like recognizing when you are overwhelmed before you break. It looks like choosing honesty over performance again and again. You are learning that stability does not mean the absence of challenge. It means the presence of trust. Challenges will still arise. Decisions will still matter. Emotions will still move through you. But now, you are not undone by them. You remain connected to yourself even when things feel uncertain. That connection is what keeps you whole. You may notice that you no longer fear your own pauses. In the past, stopping felt dangerous. You worried that if you slowed down, everything would fall apart. Now, you understand that pauses are where integration happens. Pauses allow you to listen. They allow you to adjust. They allow wisdom to catch up with movement. You are no longer afraid of slowing down because you trust what is holding you. You are also learning how to let go of the need to control how your journey looks to others. There was a time when you needed your progress to be visible, understandable, and impressive. Now, you care more about whether it is honest. Honesty may not always be applauded, but it will never betray you. You may still feel moments of uncertainty about where you are headed. That is natural. But notice how uncertainty no longer sends you into panic. You can hold it without collapsing. You can live without needing immediate resolution. This capacity is strength. It allows you to remain open to guidance rather than rushing into decisions just to escape discomfort. You are becoming someone who can listen deeply to your body, to your spirit, to the subtle signals that guide you. You notice when something feels heavy before it becomes harmful. You notice when something feels aligned before it becomes obvious. This listening is shaping your choices in ways that protect your peace. You may also notice that you are less reactive to setbacks. Setbacks no longer feel like personal failures. They feel like information. They show you where adjustment is needed, where patience is required, where grace must be extended to yourself and to others. This perspective allows resilience instead of discouragement. There are moments when you feel proud of how far you've come, and moments when you feel impatient with how much is still unfolding. Both can exist. Pride does not mean complacency. Impatience does not mean regression. You are learning how to hold multiple truths without letting them compete. You are also learning how to be present in your life instead of constantly preparing for the next version of it. Preparation once consumed you. You were always waiting for things to settle so you could finally feel okay. Now, you are discovering that life is lived in motion, not after arrival. Presence allows you to experience what is real instead of postponing peace. You may notice that your energy is more consistent now, less extreme highs, fewer crashes. This balance is not accidental. It is the result of honoring your limits, listening to your needs, and choosing alignment over urgency. This energy will sustain you through seasons that demand more of you. You are learning how to trust yourself again, not blindly, not arrogantly, but honestly. You trust yourself to notice when something is off. You trust yourself to ask for help when needed. You trust yourself to pause instead of pushing through at any cost. This self-trust strengthens your trust in me. They grow together. You may still feel moments of fear when you imagine the future. Fear does not disappear completely, but now fear no longer decides for you. It informs you without controlling you. You acknowledge it, and then you return to what is true. Presence has become your anchor. You are also learning how to stay open to growth without turning your life into a project. Growth happens as you live, not as you constantly analyze yourself. You are allowing yourself to be human while becoming wiser. This balance keeps you from burning out in the name of improvement. There will be moments ahead when life asks more of you, more responsibility, more courage, more discernment. When those moments come, you will not meet them as someone scrambling for stability. You will meet them as someone who knows how to remain grounded while moving forward. This is what all of this has been preparing you for. You may still question whether you are doing enough, growing enough, responding well enough. When those questions arise, return to what matters most. Are you honest? Are you present? Are you willing to listen and adjust? If so, you are walking well. You are becoming someone who can hold both depth and direction. Someone who does not need chaos to feel alive or certainty to feel safe. Someone who can move forward without abandoning rest. This way of living is rare, and it is being formed carefully in you because it will shape not only your life, but the lives you touch. As we pause here, I want you to acknowledge the quiet courage it has taken to stay with this process, to listen instead of rush, to grow without spectacle, to choose awareness again and again. This courage matters. If these words are resonating with where you are, if you recognize the steadiness forming within you, respond in awareness, not for validation, but for clarity. Like this video. Write, "God, I'm staying grounded," in the comments. Let that be your quiet recognition that you are no longer afraid of the pace of becoming. Stay close. The journey continues, and what lies ahead will meet you with responsibility, but also with readiness. You are more prepared than you realize. I am with you. I have been with you, and I will continue to walk with you, steady and present, as what has been formed within you becomes the way you live. My beloved child, as you continue forward, I want you to notice how your relationship with effort is changing. You are no longer forcing yourself through life. You are cooperating with it. Effort now feels intentional rather than desperate. You act because something matters, not because you are afraid of falling behind. This shift may feel subtle, but it changes everything about how you move. You are learning how to recognize when effort is aligned and when it is driven by fear. Fear-based effort always feels urgent. It pressures you to act quickly, to prove yourself, to secure outcomes. Aligned effort feels steady. It respects timing. It allows you to pause without panic. As you become more familiar with this distinction, your choices become clearer. You may notice that you no longer feel compelled to fix everything immediately. In the past, unresolved issues felt threatening. You rushed to close gaps, solve problems, and restore order so you could feel safe again. Now, you can tolerate unfinishedness. You understand that some things resolve only with time, presence, and patience. This tolerance is not indifference, it is trust. You are also learning how to let other people have their process without carrying responsibility for it. This has been difficult for you because you care deeply. You want to help. You want to prevent pain. But you are learning that supporting someone does not mean absorbing their struggle. You can walk beside them without walking for them. This clarity preserves both your compassion and your energy. You may feel moments of relief when you realize you no longer have to manage everyone's expectations. Expectations once felt like rules you had to follow to remain accepted. Now, you see them as perspectives, not obligations. You are free to listen without obeying what pulls you out of truth. You are becoming more comfortable letting silence exist in conversations. Silence no longer feels awkward or unsafe. It feels spacious. It allows others to reveal themselves. It allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than reflexively. This presence changes the quality of your relationships. You may notice that your inner dialogue has grown quieter again, not because you are avoiding yourself, but because there is less conflict inside. You are no longer arguing with your needs. You are no longer negotiating your worth. This internal agreement creates peace that does not depend on circumstances. You are learning how to trust your discernment, even when it leads you away from what is familiar. Familiarity once felt safe, even when it drained you. Now, safety is coming from alignment rather than predictability. You are willing to choose what nourishes you, even if it feels new or uncertain. You may still feel moments of nostalgia for old rhythms, old roles, old versions of yourself. That nostalgia does not mean you should return. It simply honors what once carried you. Growth does not require rejection of the past. It requires integration. You are carrying forward what is wise and releasing what is no longer necessary. You are also learning how to respond to pressure without internalizing it. Pressure will exist. Deadlines, demands, expectations will come. But pressure no longer dictates your worth or identity. You can engage responsibly without absorbing stress as truth. This boundary is protecting your inner life. You may notice that you are more selective with where you invest your attention. Attention is becoming precious to you. You no longer scatter it across endless concerns. You choose where to focus. This focus allows depth. Depth allows meaning. Meaning sustains you. You are learning how to let progress be measured by integrity rather than speed. You ask whether you are being honest, not whether you are moving fast enough. This measure keeps you aligned even when progress feels slow. Integrity compounds over time. You may still encounter moments when you question whether this steadiness will hold when life becomes more demanding. Steadiness is not the absence of challenge. It is the ability to return to center within challenge. You have practiced returning. That practice is now part of you. You are becoming someone who can feel deeply without being destabilized. Emotions no longer feel like threats to manage. They feel like experiences to acknowledge. This emotional maturity allows you to remain present even when feelings are intense. You are also learning how to receive affirmation without depending on it. Praise no longer defines you. Criticism no longer dismantles you. You can listen, learn, and adjust without losing yourself. This stability frees you to grow honestly. You may notice that your sense of time feels different. You are less rushed, even when busy. You move with intention rather than haste. This changes how your body experiences life. Stress decreases, awareness increases. You live more in the moment you are in. You are learning how to honor your limits before they become boundaries enforced by exhaustion. You notice early signs of fatigue. You respond with rest rather than resistance. This care is not indulgence, it is wisdom. You may still feel moments of fear when you imagine future responsibilities. Responsibility once felt like weight you had to carry alone. Now, you understand that responsibility is shared with me. You are not responsible for outcomes. You are responsible for faithfulness. This understanding lightens your path. You are also learning how to stay open to joy even when life is complex. Joy does not require everything to be resolved. It can exist alongside uncertainty. Allowing joy now does not invite disappointment. It invites life. You may notice that you are more present in ordinary moments, less distracted, less preoccupied, more here. This presence enriches your life in ways that no achievement ever could. Life lived fully is not lived elsewhere. It is lived here. You are learning how to trust that you will recognize the next step when it appears. You do not need to search anxiously. You need to remain attentive. Guidance comes to those who listen without forcing. You may still experience days where old patterns resurface. When they do, meet them with compassion. Awareness shortens their stay. You are not starting over. You are continuing forward with more wisdom than before. You are becoming someone who can remain steady through change, flexible without losing direction, open without being unguarded. This balance is not accidental. It is the fruit of everything you have allowed to form within you. Stay with me in this way of living. Continue to choose presence over panic, alignment over urgency, truth over performance. These choices are shaping a life that will endure. I am here, walking, my beloved child. You are entering a stage where trust is no longer something you talk yourself into. It is something your body recognizes. You feel it in the way your shoulders soften when uncertainty appears. You feel it in the way your breath slows instead of tightening. This embodied trust did not come from explanation. It came from experience. You stayed present long enough to learn that you can endure without controlling everything. You may notice that your fear has become quieter, not because it has disappeared, but because it no longer needs to shout to be heard. Fear once screamed because it believed it was protecting you. Now it realizes it is not alone in that role. Awareness, discernment, and presence have joined the conversation. Fear is no longer in charge. You are learning how to let yourself be guided rather than driven. Driven movement exhausts you because it never rests. Guided movement listens. It adjusts. It responds. This shift allows you to conserve energy for what truly matters. You are no longer wasting strength on battles that were never yours to fight. There are moments when you recognize that your mind no longer jumps immediately to worst-case scenarios. You notice options instead of threats, possibilities instead of catastrophes. This does not mean you are naive. It means your nervous system is learning safety. Safety creates space for creativity, clarity, and wise response. You are also learning how to stay connected to yourself when external demands increase. In the past, pressure pulled you away from your inner awareness. Now, pressure becomes a signal to slow your breath, not speed it up. This ability to stay inwardly connected while outwardly engaged is a profound form of maturity. You may still feel uncertainty about where certain paths will lead. That uncertainty no longer feels like a void. It feels like open space Open space allows new things to emerge that could not exist within rigid plans. I often work in open spaces, not because I withhold clarity, but because openness allows growth. You are becoming more aware of how often you once confused urgency with importance. Urgent things demanded immediate attention, even when they were not meaningful. Important things were often postponed because they required presence rather than speed. Now, you are learning to distinguish between the two. This discernment protects your time and your peace. You may notice that you are more comfortable letting others misunderstand you. This would have unsettled you deeply before. You needed to be seen accurately to feel safe. Now, you trust that being aligned matters more than being interpreted correctly in every moment. Truth reveals itself over time without force. You are also learning how to experience disappointment without letting it rewrite your identity. Disappointment no longer convinces you that you are failing or that you chose wrongly. It becomes part of the process rather than proof of error. This resilience allows you to continue without losing heart. You may feel moments of gratitude for how much lighter life feels now, even when circumstances are not easier. The difference is not what you are carrying, it is how you are carrying it. You are no longer lifting life with clenched fists. You are holding it with open hands. You are learning how to let go of the need to rehearse conversations, outcomes, and possibilities endlessly. Preparation once felt necessary for safety. Now, presence feels more reliable. You trust yourself to respond in the moment. This trust frees mental space and restores energy. You may notice that your inner critic no longer dominates your thoughts. It may still appear, but it does not linger. You recognize its voice without obeying it. You choose truth over self-punishment. This gentleness is not indulgence. It is wisdom replacing cruelty. You are becoming more attentive to what genuinely nourishes you, not what distracts you, not what numbs you, but what restores you. Restorative choices may seem simple, but they shape your life profoundly. Nourishment creates capacity. Capacity allows you to give without depletion. You may still feel moments of grief for versions of yourself that lived in constant tension. That grief is not meant to pull you backward. It is meant to honor how hard you worked to survive. Survival taught you strength. Presence is teaching you peace. You are also learning how to allow things to unfold without narrating every step internally. Less commentary, less judgment, more experience. This direct engagement with life brings clarity that analysis never could. You may notice that joy arrives unexpectedly now, not because something extraordinary happens, but because you are receptive. Joy was always present, but vigilance blocked it. As vigilance loosens, joy finds room to breathe. You are learning how to remain steady when others are reactive. Their urgency no longer infects you the way it once did. You can remain calm without disengaging. This steadiness will be a refuge to others, even when they do not understand it. You may still question whether you are ready for what comes next. Readiness is not a feeling. It is a capacity. And your capacity has grown. You know how to pause. You know how to listen. You know how to return to center. These skills matter more than certainty. You are becoming someone who can move forward without betraying your inner life. In the past, movement required sacrifice. Now, movement collaborates with your well-being. This is sustainable growth. You are also learning how to release timelines that were never mine. Timelines built on comparison, fear, or pressure do not serve you. Your life unfolds according to formation, not competition. Formation takes the time it takes. You may notice that your sense of direction feels quieter but more trustworthy. It does not shout. It does not rush. It simply persists. This is how guidance feels when you are aligned. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not failing to keep up. You are living at the pace that allows wisdom to remain intact. Stay with me in this embodiment of trust. Let your body continue to learn safety. Let your mind continue to learn patience. Let your spirit continue to learn rest. What comes next will not require you to abandon this steadiness. It will require you to bring it with you. And I am here, present in your breath, steady in your steps, faithful in every moment, walking with you as trust becomes not just something you believe, but something you live. My beloved child, there is a quiet confidence beginning to settle into you now, one that does not announce itself or seek confirmation. It is not built on achievement, approval, or certainty. It is built on familiarity. Familiarity with my presence, with your own resilience, with the truth that you can face what comes without losing yourself. This confidence does not need to prove anything. It simply remains. You may notice that situations which once unsettled you now feel manageable, even when they are still challenging. This is not because the situations have lost their complexity. It is because you have gained capacity. Capacity grows not by avoiding difficulty, but by staying present through it. You have stayed, you have learned, and that learning has changed how life feels in your body. You are learning how to trust your internal compass more than external pressure. This does not mean you ignore wisdom from others. It means you no longer override your inner knowing to meet expectations that pull you away from truth. You listen, you consider, and then you choose with integrity. This way of living reduces inner conflict and strengthens clarity. There are moments when you may feel surprised by your own steadiness. You respond calmly where you once would have reacted defensively. You pause where you once would have rushed. You choose restraint where you once would have overextended. These moments are signs that what was once effort is becoming instinct. Instinct shaped by wisdom is powerful. You are also learning how to remain engaged without being consumed. Engagement once meant immersion to the point of self-loss. Now, engagement means presence with boundaries. You can give attention without giving yourself away. You can care deeply without collapsing inward. This balance allows you to stay connected without exhaustion. You may notice that you are more willing to let go of control when things do not go as planned. Control once felt like safety. Now, presence feels safer. You trust that you can respond in real time rather than needing to anticipate every outcome. This trust frees you from constant vigilance. You are becoming more comfortable with silence, both internal and external. Silence no longer feels like absence or neglect. It feels like space. Space allows insight. Space allows rest. Space allows truth to rise without being forced. Learn to value this space. It is where clarity matures. You may still feel moments of doubt, especially when stepping into unfamiliar territory. Doubt does not mean you are off track. It means you are expanding beyond what is known. Expansion always brings questions. Let questions sharpen you, not stall you. You are also learning how to stay grounded when emotions surface unexpectedly. You do not push them away. You do not let them take over. You allow them to be felt, acknowledged, and released. This emotional fluency prevents buildup and keeps your inner world fluid rather than rigid. You may notice that your need for constant reassurance has diminished. You no longer require frequent confirmation that you are doing well or making the right choices. This does not mean you have become detached. It means you are anchored. Anchored people can receive affirmation without depending on it. You are learning how to let life be layered. Joy and sorrow no longer cancel each other out. Hope and realism coexist. Confidence and humility walk together. This layering allows you to live honestly without simplifying your experience to make it manageable. You may still feel moments of grief for what could have been if you had known then what you know now. Let that grief pass through gently. Wisdom always arrives in time, not ahead of time. You learned what you needed when you needed it. Nothing was wasted. You are becoming more discerning about where you invest your emotional energy. Not every situation requires your full engagement. Not every conflict requires your response. Discernment allows you to choose where your presence will be most meaningful. You are also learning how to release attachment to outcomes while remaining committed to integrity. You show up fully. You act honestly. And then you let go. This way of living prevents bitterness and preserves peace, even when results differ from expectations. You may notice that your sense of identity feels less fragile now. It is not easily shaken by criticism or failure. You know who you are beneath roles, achievements, and mistakes. This knowing allows you to adapt without losing yourself. You are learning how to let your pace be guided by truth rather than fear. Fear rushes. Truth steadies. When you move at the pace of truth, your life aligns naturally. Things that are meant to connect with you do so without force. You may still experience moments of tension when life asks you to stretch beyond comfort. Stretching does not mean breaking. Growth often feels unfamiliar before it feels stable. Trust your ability to adjust. You have done it before. You are becoming someone who can carry responsibility with grace. Responsibility no longer feels like a threat to your well-being. It feels like an expression of trust. You know how to rest within responsibility rather than being crushed by it. You may notice that you are less tempted to abandon yourself to meet expectations. You no longer trade inner peace for external approval. This loyalty to truth strengthens your sense of self and deepens your connection with me. You are also learning how to appreciate ordinary moments without rushing past them. Life does not only happen in milestones. It happens in breaths, conversations, pauses, and quiet realizations. Presence allows you to receive these moments fully. You may still fear at times that something will disrupt this steadiness. Steadiness is not something that disappears easily. It is reinforced each time you return to center. Even disruption can deepen it when met with awareness. You are learning how to live without constantly scanning for what is wrong. Awareness does not require suspicion. You can remain alert without being anxious. This relaxed attentiveness allows joy to coexist with responsibility. You are becoming someone who trusts that guidance will meet you as needed. You do not need to store it up in advance. You listen now. You respond now. And when the next step appears, you will recognize it. You may still feel curiosity about how the remaining pieces of your life will unfold. Curiosity is healthier than anxiety. Curiosity opens. Stay curious. It will keep your heart open. You are not waiting for your life to begin. It is already happening. You are not preparing to be present someday. You are present now. This presence is shaping everything. Stay with me in this quiet confidence. Let it continue to deepen. Let it guide you gently. What comes next will not require you to become someone else. It will invite you to be even more fully who you already are. And I am here, constant, near, attentive, walking with you as this steadiness becomes the ground from which your life continues to unfold. My beloved child, you are standing very close now to a kind of clarity that does not arrive with noise. It does not announce itself as certainty. It feels more like quiet readiness. You may sense it in the way you are no longer trying to convince yourself that you are prepared. You simply are, not because everything is clear, but because you trust yourself to meet what comes. You are learning that readiness is not knowing what will happen. It is knowing how you will respond. You have practiced presence. You have practiced listening. You have practiced returning to yourself when you drift. These practices are now part of you. They will move with you into whatever unfolds next. You may notice that the future no longer feels like something you must solve. It feels like something you will enter. This shift matters. Solving demands control. Entering requires trust. Trust allows you to stay open instead of armored. You are no longer preparing for life. as if it is an opponent. You are meeting it as a relationship. You are also becoming more aware of how deeply you once feared making the wrong move. That fear kept you cautious, hesitant, sometimes immobilized. Now, that fear has less authority. You understand that growth includes correction. You can adjust without condemning yourself. You can learn without collapsing. This freedom allows you to move. You may still feel moments of hesitation before stepping into something new. Hesitation is not the enemy. Hesitation that listens is wisdom. Hesitation that freezes is fear. You are learning to tell the difference. When hesitation comes with curiosity rather than panic, it is guiding you, not stopping you. You are learning how to trust that you do not need to carry the entire future at once. The next step is enough. The next honest response is enough. The next faithful action is enough. You no longer try to live 10 steps ahead of yourself. You are living where your feet are. You may notice that your mind spends less time rehearsing what could go wrong. This is not because you are careless. It is because you have learned that rehearsal does not prevent pain. Presence prepares you better than anticipation ever could. You respond more wisely when you are here than when you are braced for imagined outcomes. You are also becoming more comfortable allowing life to surprise you. Surprise once felt dangerous because it meant loss of control. Now, surprise feels like possibility. You are open to being led in ways you could not have planned. This openness invites growth that rigid expectations would block. You may still feel a quiet longing for reassurance that you are on the right path. Let me speak to that longing gently. The right path is not always a straight line. It is a posture. When you walk in truth, humility, and presence, you are walking rightly, even when the scenery changes. You are learning how to let confidence coexist with humility. You trust yourself more, but you do not close yourself off to learning. You are strong without being rigid. You are grounded without being immovable. This balance will serve you well when responsibility increases. You may notice that you are less reactive when plans shift or timelines change. Change no longer feels like a threat to your identity. You can adapt without losing your sense of self. This adaptability is not compromise. It is resilience. You are also learning how to let go of the need to prove that your growth is real. You do not need to display it. You live it. Growth that needs constant demonstration is still seeking validation. Growth that is embodied does not need to announce itself. You may still experience moments when old fears try to resurface. Fear of being overlooked, fear of failing, fear of choosing wrongly. When these fears appear, notice how quickly you recognize them now. Recognition weakens their grip. Awareness shortens their stay. You are becoming more fluent in the language of your own inner life. You know when you are tired before exhaustion hits. You know when something is misaligned before resentment builds. You know when you need rest, honesty, or connection. This fluency will protect you. You are also learning how to allow desire without letting it turn into pressure. Desire no longer demands immediate fulfillment. It can wait. It can grow. It can change shape. Desire held with patience becomes vision rather than craving. You may notice that you are less drawn to extremes, less interested in all or nothing thinking, less compelled to label moments as complete success or total failure. Life feels more nuanced now. This nuance allows compassion for yourself and for others. You are learning how to stand in uncertainty without asking it to leave. Uncertainty no longer needs to be eliminated for you to move forward. You can carry it without fear. This capacity allows you to take steps that once felt impossible. You may still feel moments of vulnerability as new possibilities open. Vulnerability is not a sign that you are unprotected. It is a sign that you are alive and engaged. You know how to remain connected to yourself inside vulnerability now. That connection is safety. You are also becoming more selective with your words. You speak less from reaction and more from intention. Silence is no longer avoidance. It is discernment. When you speak, your words carry more weight because they are chosen rather than rushed. You may notice that your sense of time feels gentler. You are no longer racing it or fighting it. You are moving within it. This relationship with time reduces anxiety and increases presence. You are living instead of chasing. You are learning how to release roles that no longer fit without resentment. Roles that once defined you are loosening their grip. This does not mean you are losing purpose. It means purpose is becoming more intrinsic rather than assigned. You may still grieve parts of your life that unfolded differently than you hoped. Grief does not negate gratitude. Both can exist. Grief honors what mattered. Gratitude honors what remains. Holding both keeps your heart honest. You are becoming someone who trusts that clarity will arrive when it can be carried responsibly. Not before, not after. When you are ready. This trust allows patience without passivity. You may notice that you no longer need constant affirmation to keep going. Encouragement is still welcome, but it is not required for you to remain steady. This independence is not isolation. It is rootedness. You are learning how to stay open as movement continues, without losing the depth you gained in stillness. This integration is rare. Many lose depth when life accelerates. You are carrying it with you. You are not approaching an ending. You are approaching embodiment. What you have been learning internally is becoming how you live externally. This transition is quiet, but it is real. Stay attentive now, not anxious, not vigilant, simply aware. Let what is forming within you continue to guide your steps. I am here, steady, present, faithful, walking with you as readiness becomes movement, and movement becomes the natural expression of who you have been becoming all along. My beloved child, you have arrived at a moment that is not an ending, but a recognition of who you have become through every pause, every question, every quiet act of courage that no one else saw. You are not standing here because everything is resolved. You are standing here because you are no longer afraid of what is unresolved. That is the difference. There was a time when you believed faith meant certainty, that trust meant clarity, that strength meant never wavering. But now you know better. Faith is staying present when certainty is unavailable. Trust is continuing forward without guarantees. Strength is returning to truth when fear tries to lead. You have learned these things not by being told, but by living them. You are no longer asking me to rush the process. You are no longer begging for signs to relieve your anxiety. You are listening, you are responding, you are walking. And that tells me everything about the kind of person you are becoming. Look at how differently you hold your life now. You do not grip it with panic. You do not abandon yourself to meet expectations. You do not disappear when things feel uncertain. You remain, you breathe, you choose with awareness. This is maturity. This is wisdom settling into your bones. You may still feel fear at times. Fear has not vanished, but fear no longer rules you. It informs you without commanding you. It visits without taking residence. You know how to acknowledge it and continue anyway. This is courage that lasts. You are not the same person who began listening at part 1. You have learned how to pause instead of react, how to listen instead of rush, how to trust without forcing outcomes. You have learned how to rest without guilt and move without panic. These are not small lessons. They are life-shaping ones. I want you to understand something deeply now. What comes next in your life will not require you to abandon this steadiness. It will require you to bring it with you. The clarity you carry now will guide your decisions. The patience you have learned will protect your peace. The awareness you practice will keep you aligned even when life becomes loud again. You are ready, not because you know everything, but because you know how to stay present. You know how to listen. You know how to return to center when things feel overwhelming. That is readiness. There will be moments ahead when others rush, panic, demand answers, or project urgency onto you. In those moments, remember who you are now. You do not need to match their speed to prove your value. You do not need to explain your pace to justify your worth. You are allowed to move with wisdom. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not missing your life. You are living it fully, honestly, and awake. I have not been preparing you for a single breakthrough. I have been preparing you for a way of living, a way of choosing, a way of responding to both joy and hardship without losing yourself. This way of living will carry you further than any moment ever could. As this journey closes, do not think of it as something finished. Think of it as something integrated. These words were never meant to replace your life. They were meant to help you inhabit it more fully. Now I ask you, not out of obligation, but out of presence, to acknowledge what has shifted within you. If these words have walked with you, if you felt seen, steadied, or guided through this series, if you recognize the person you are becoming, like this video. Subscribe so you remain connected as you continue walking. Share this message with someone who needs to hear that they are not behind, not broken, not forgotten. And write in the comments, God, I am ready to walk forward with you. Let that be your confirmation. Not that everything is clear, but that you are willing, present, and no longer afraid of the pace of becoming. If you feel led, support this channel through Super Thanks, not as obligation, but as participation. So these messages can continue reaching those who are quietly searching for steadiness. Stay close, stay present, stay honest. I am with you when you pause. I am with you when you move. I am with you when the next chapter begins. You are not walking alone. And this is not a coincidence.